Grace and peace, everybody. I'm just trying to set up here. I see my man Mike was on. I was in and out of his channel, hoping that he would. Thinking that he was wrapping up. I don't like to be on the same time that others in the community are on, or certain individuals, should I say. I want to play a video, some stuff I got to play. I'm going to try to hit Garfield. I thought he was going to come on. He hit me earlier this morning. There's some things going on. There's some stuff that got to get cleared up. Let me just go ahead and say that right now. There's some stuff that got to get cleared up, and Garfield got to answer some questions. I be trying to say it in the good old diplomatic way. Ain't no good way to say it. Garfield got to answer some questions. I'm hoping I'm going to play this video. I'm going to play 2 or 3 videos. I'm hoping what I'm hearing about this other thing, some other stuff came up. I hope what I'm hearing is not correct. They could be, I don't know if they out here just guessing, but if what I'm hearing about this community and information and this other organization, I hope what I'm hearing is not correct. That's all I can say. I hope what I'm hearing is not correct. I'm gonna play some of this, and whilst I'm on, I'm going to send him that link. I told him 6 o'clock. I thought he wanted to get on after 7. He did ask me, and I said I was jumping on today. But then in that last text, he said, no, he was saying before 7. So I definitely wanted him to come on and touch on some of this stuff that was out here. Shout out to Pastor Kelly. He dropped a video, and I'm going to pull up something from that community thing that Dante put up. You know, in all fairness, all this stuff got to come out. But I'm gonna wait for a couple more people to come in here, and I want to ask for people that's been around for some time. I want to ask them who do they, and I don't even know if I should do it like that. I'm trying to figure out who the main players, because if what I heard is correct, my soul is a little troubled. I cannot lie. My soul is a little. I'm hoping this is just crazy. I'm just hoping this is crazy talk. Let's just put it that way. I can't even wait. I'm going to go ahead and see. What is that saying? Oh, stash. Oh, no, that's something different. Let me, fair use. I can't even wait.
Someone sent me a YouTube video to watch and then comment on. We're going to play 3 minutes of this video.
Type of one if y'all could hear that.
Then I give my comments on the information that is being shared. Let's watch the video.
You Africans got some damn nerve, man. The Israelite school at UPK been teaching the truth since 1969, and I'm gonna show you today. Get me in Joel, where they said they sold us to the Greeks. Joel chapter 3, man. Right. I'm gonna show you all this article right here. You hold on. Read this article here for me, huh? I'm gonna show you where you're gonna start to read from.
That's right. I'm over here with John.
Hold this phone like this. You're going to read from right here. The House of Representatives. You see it? No sweat. Let's go this. The House of Representatives. Right here. All right? Read. The House. This is an article that a brother wrote documenting that the Africans are apologizing for their role in slavery to the blacks in America. What is that telling you? That they sold us to the white man. You all been gamed up thinking we African, and some white man went to Africa and stole us. That's a damn lie. The Ghanaians, the Nigerians, the Senegalese, the Cameroonians, them damn filthy Ethiopians sold blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians to the white man in slavery, man. Read. Go ahead.
Many West African nations and tribes have issued apologies for their role in the transatlantic slave trade.
Read that again for all you Pan-African, I'm Africa, oh Mama Africa people, man, that think you some damn African. The Africans sold you into slavery, and right now they are apologizing for their role. Read it again.
Many West African nations and tribes have issued apologies.
Have issued what?
Apologies.
Have issued what?
Apologies.
You're only going to apologize if you do something wrong. And what them Africans did to black people was wrong, was 400 years of a crime that they benefited. They got paid for each black man they sold into slavery. And you gonna come up here and tell me about Christ Rastafari? Damn the Ethiopians, man. Damn you Africans. And you are going to serve slavery under a black man called Jesus Christ. Read.
Excuse the language.
In 1999, President of Benin, a neighbor of Nigeria, apologized for his nation's role in slavery.
Yo, then y'all will never hear that.
Yeah, that sold Hispanic thing. That's we can talk about that too. The Hispanics come over here on the slave ships. We gotta keep an eye on what these folk be out here saying.
American government will never put that on CNN. T.D. Jakes and Creflo Dollar and Louis Farrakhan ain't gonna never tell you that the Africans sold you into slavery.
It's very heartbreaking when I see brothers from these camps behave this way. They are repeating the same errors our ancestors made, which contributed to the transatlantic slave trade. The brother in the video read an article which stated that the leaders in some tribes in Ghana and Benin apologized for their role in the transatlantic slave trade. This is true, but we have to pause to find out why they apologized. There is a sign posted at the Cape Coast in Elmina Castle from the chiefs and leaders in Ghana that reads, "In everlasting memory to the anguish of our ancestors, may those who died rest in peace. May those who return find their root. May humanity never again perpetuate such injustice against humanity. We the living vow to uphold this." Because of not knowing the real details behind this apology, you have misinformed statements and wrong conclusions drawn by the author of the article that the brother in the video was reading. We have to be careful. We cannot read materials from Google and run off with it. The bare bones information we know of the transatlantic slave trade is that, number one, some African people sold fellow Africans to non-Africans for personal gains. This is false. Hamitic Africans did not sell fellow Hamitic Africans into slavery, or did they sell their family members into slavery, like it was portrayed in the opening scene in the film Amistad, where a family sold a fellow family member into slavery. That is complete falsehood. Nowhere in African history did Hamitic Africans sell family or relatives into slavery. Number two, some Hamitic Africans sold Negroes or Hebrews for personal gains. This is half truth. It is not only Hamitic Africans, but also Negroes, Hebrews, also sold fellow Negroes or Hebrews into slavery as well. Therefore, the correct statement about the transatlantic slave trade should then be Hamitic Africans and some Hebrews sold Hebrews to non-Africans for personal gains, or Africans and some Hebrews sold Hebrews to non-Africans for personal gains. Or we can word it further. Africans and some Negroes sold Negroes to non-Africans for personal gain. My point is, Hebrews also sold fellow Hebrews as slaves for personal gain. This is fact. The strip of land in West Africa that was once called the Slave Coast stretched from the Volta River in Ghana through Togo, modern-day Benin, which was called Dahomey, and Nigeria. These four countries that now occupy this stretch of land was one territory before the Europeans divided the African continent to define their trade zones in 1844. The result is the current Africa as most people know it today. However, Evenigba, Hebrew land, was the name of this strip of land that now housed these four countries. The people that occupied this stretch of land were called Eves, Hebrews, or Eveville, Hebrew people. Because my brother mentioned Benin, let us focus on Benin. Let us focus on Dahomey. The people of Dahomey are from the tribe of Dan, modern-day Benin. An in-depth knowledge of their oral history, knowledge of their culture and tradition compares to information in the Torah. Their landmarks and city names agree with similar names in the Torah as well. The name Dahomey is actually a compound name. Da is the name of their ancestor and Home means home. When you put together, you get the home of Dan, specifically the home of the tribe of Dan. When you watch my video on the 12 tribes chart, you will get more information about the tribe of Dan. The link is going to be in the description box. Those camps who shout on these streets, we are Hebrew Israelites and not Africans. The Africans sold us into slavery and we have no relationship with them. For your information, the majority of the victims of the transatlantic slave trade met their fate at the hands of fellow Hebrews. Hebrew on Hebrew crime.
All right, I got to stop right there. I got to stop right there. Garfield, what's good? I got to play some Grace and Peace, man. I got to play some to everybody in here. I got to play some. All right, you got a solid hour?
I got a good
because I know there was something going on with that 7. I had to confuse with the text about 7 after 7. I would have started earlier, but then I see Mike jumped on. So let me know.
I could do an hour, probably 45 minutes.
Oh, that's all right. Oh, no. That's good. All right, let me pull this up first because Garfield. Before I even came down there and met you at Sinetta, I was already watching your videos. I said I like that brother. That brother seemed like an honest brother. Mm-hmm. Garfield, you turns around, and I'm hoping I hope you didn't play yourself this time. You turns around and you attack, and you did it in the conscious community too. When everybody banging out with Osiris, you said something opposite than what everybody on Sinetta was saying. I said, Garfield like going against the grain. Garfield, but you brought up Equiano. Why did you do that? Everybody from Pastor Omar down in Louisiana to Benaiah Israel to Pastor Kelly. You turned around and you start banging on a source that everybody in the community uses.
Let me tell you something. I'm the type of guy that I don't mind being hated on. I mean, your audience, they hate on me, and they call me
don't worry. If you don't mind, you're gonna get today. Right. You gonna get the hate.
All right. So I have the video and I have the timestamps. Right.
All right. Hold on, but no, I want to put because this other stuff came up. Go ahead. I'm listening.
Let me say this. Benaiah Israel and Dante Fortson and Kelly Richardson, to me.
Shout Pastor Kelly. Hit me on my jack. Text me on my phone if you got any questions, Pastor. Go ahead.
And I think what they're doing is misinforming the public. And the problem is people like Shari Anaya says that people could be grafted into Israel. There's nothing wrong with that.
The Bible says that, amen. The Bible say that. We ain't nobody better than I had no beef with that. But go ahead.
All right. So now we're at a point where nobody wants to be wrong. If I'm wrong about something that Benaiah Israel pointed out, I'll say, you know what, bro? You're right. What's it going to do to me? It's not doing anything. But if they are wrong, they can't admit it. And this is the problem that Dante has, Benaiah Israel has, Kelly Richardson has. And I think I'm laughing because this is hilarious, the video he made last night. Hilarious. And
which one? I just got it queued up, a part of it queued up. Did you see all of it? I didn't see all of it.
I saw all of it. Don't queue it up. Don't worry about it. I got the timestamps for everything. I'm going to address everything easily, succinctly, and we're going to go through this with the ease. This is the problem.
Amazing.
This is the problem. This is the main problem.
In some of their
these guys can't.
That was your video going?
Yeah, my bad. That was an old video that I'm going to bring to light back that you probably don't want me to bring up, but I'm going to bring it to light anyway. It's a video of Kelly Richardson, T.O. Ministries, Benaiah Israel, Sister E, Dante Force, and Yakoba all on the line at the same time, and Kelly Richardson speaking. I got to play this video because it correlates with what Equiano did with Thomas Clarkson. People need to understand the history. The history is this man told a story when he told a story, and I'm gonna take 30 seconds just to say this. Nobody knows if the story is true or not. He wrote the book not for us. He wrote the book for a white audience to let them look at what they were doing regarding slavery. He's an abolitionist that made Garfield possible to actually be in this country today, to be around today, to let us be free as
That's right.
Africans.
That's
So
right.
I appreciate that of him. But if he twisted the truth a little bit to make that happen, I still applaud him. But what I'm trying to point out to people is he did it for a reason. If he lied, he did it for a reason. And I applaud him for that. I don't care. It's not like I'm going to punish him and say, hey, you're wrong because I'm a believer.
No. A lot of people lie to, because they feel the ends justified the means. They had a cause to bring up people to do something, and they've lied. That's happened before. That wouldn't be the first time. But now, did you see this community thing with Dante? Because
No,
this is, I think all of this is connected. You text him. This is a text he put up. You didn't see all of this stuff?
No, I didn't.
I thought when you hit, I thought you seen all this, because I'm up till 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. Shout out to my doctor and them. I got them people down here in the city.
You know what I gotta say about this? Remember,
Yes.
I'm on record on Sarnetta making the claim.
Okay.
And what you call it? The claim is basically anybody that came off a slave ship. This is a question I've been asking for 7 years. It hasn't changed. So at the end of the day,
so even with the video I just played and the other one I got queued up, you still at that place that nobody got off that. And I'm gonna show you what my man texted me too. He brought something out interesting about, the people even building the church down there and all of this other stuff. How come people that build synagogues and, riding kind of with the mindset that you said that how come people didn't don't show any signs of it? Did they forget what they knew on the slave ships?
Maroon, on record, there's over 5,000 Maroon communities in Brazil. This is where most of Africans went from Angola and from Benin, the wider empire, and from that area, right? Dahomey. Ladies and gentlemen, not one person in those 5,000 communities, and I'm going to say it again, 5,000 communities, 5,000, think about it.
That's a lot.
Showed any form of syncretism with Judaism. Showed no Hebraic culture. The first black free people in the Americas was the people in Colombia. They still exist today. They don't show no Hebraic culture. The people in Brazil, the people in Peru, the only Jew people they know is the slave traders and the people that came over and lived lived freely from the Inquisition. So I mean, come on, it doesn't matter what they bring. I'm telling you, family. You could claim what you want. I'm not hating on that, but it's just the truth. You're either an identity thief or it's a case of mistaken identity. So if you're running around, you're wondering why you're not getting the blessing that you think you're going to get, it's because you're not what you think you are. Point blank.
You're not the people that inherit the blessing, you're saying. Is that what you're saying out your mouth right now?
I'm saying it right now. Right now. You're not getting the blessing because it's not you. You can't fulfill prophecy if the prophecy is not talking about you.
If the prophecy ain't talking about you, if the prophecy y'all agree with that?
You don't have to play this video. I got it queued up. I got everything.
All right, now you got it queued up to the part where he talking about you now.
Yeah, I got everything.
Okay, all right.
I got my presentation ready for everything.
All right, whenever you're ready.
All right, the first thing
you said you got an hour and you got 45 minutes or an hour and 45 minutes.
An hour and 45 minutes.
All right.
So first of all, peace and love to everybody, and peace and love to the people that stayed on. I know you probably cut the part out where I was on.
Yes, no, I didn't, and thank you for holding it down for me too. Thank you for holding it down for me. I slid down there, came back, and then I ended up sliding down there. Next day, my mom's everything is cool. I still got to slide back down to the city. I got the doctor and them beefing with me. Shout out to my doctor. Doctors done beefing me down there. But go ahead. I'm gonna mute myself. I'm looking at the comments now.
I'm gonna share. Hold on.
They mad at you right now, Garfield. I don't like they hating on you right now. They hating hard. You got to make it right. You gotta talk that talk right now.
I love y'all.
If it's the truth and they just mad at the truth, I ain't got no problem with that. I like getting folk mad with the truth. But we got to examine this thing, because you should have kept your mouth off of Equiano. You should have kept your mouth off of him. But no, you want to go with your fast self. Come on.
All right, let me play the video first. Right? Crafty Counsel. Let's go. I got the video up.
And if y'all got any questions, y'all put them in there. Y'all know, y'all just put them in there.
All right, so let's go first. Ready? Here we go.
Right. If you only knew what these other references that we're kind of sitting on. But yeah, because if you don't mind just going to the next slide here.
You may have to mute your microphone whilst it's playing because I hear echo.
I'm gonna start, fam. I'm gonna hit you in the most folks know that Aluda Equiano has at least two names. I said at least two names. They never talk about that third one. So when he was over in Africa, he said that his name was Aluda Equiano, right? But then when he came over to the West Indies, right, he had another name. Then when he was taken by in Virginia, taken it from Virginia into the ship, he was given Gustavo Vasa. We got the references for that, but nobody talks about that second name. Why is that? Why is that, fam? Let's take a look, because if you don't mind going to the next screen. Okay, so this is from his book. That's the book. If you guys want to go out and get it. Can you advance the slide? Oh, and just also note the dates. So he was born in 1745 and passed away in 1797. So he was passed away before the 1800s, right? And just a quick note, his book came out in the latter part of his life, right? And you can even pull that up in Wikipedia. You'll see that all the versions that he put out were in the latter part of his life. It wasn't in the beginning. All right, because if you don't mind advancing. All right, so what's that name? What is his name? So let's read it. It says, while I was on board this ship, my captain and master named me Gustavo Vasa. All right, so this is in Virginia, I believe. It says, I at the time began to understand him a little and refused to be called so, and told him as well as I could that I would be called Jacob. That's making people nervous because I can hear him running to the closet.
Wait a minute.
Run to the closet.
Wait a minute. But wait a minute. They weren't. None of us were proclaiming that, right?
Yeah. I mean, but who's Jacob in the
who's who's Jacob? I mean, wait a minute. Read that again for the people in the back.
While I was on board this ship, my captain and masters, he just got bought again, named me Gustavo Vasa. I, at that time, began to understand him a little and refused to be called so, and told him as well as I could that I would be called Jacob, a.k.a. Yisrael. Hallelujah.
Come on, man. Let me get a garbage. I got to pull out the garbage can. Let me pull out the garbage can.
All right. Maroon, share my slides real quick. Let's just respond to this real quickly. Now everybody jumping up. Garfield. Oh, they got him now. They got Garfield now. Oh man, Jacob. Let me tell you something about these two guys. You gotta ask yourself, is this Israelite thing a scam? Or we just want to push something to people to make them feel good? So we could charge them $70 for YouTube videos and make money off of views. Ladies and gentlemen, look at this. And I want y'all to pay attention. Watch this. Chapter 3, the beginning of chapter 3. I want y'all to look at this. I stayed in this island for a few days. I believe it could not be above a fortnight when I and some few more slaves that were not saleable among the rest from very much fretting were shipped off in a sloop for North America. On the passage, we were better treated than when we were coming from Africa, and we had plenty of rice and fat pork. Okay, notice in his autobiography, he never objects to eating pork because he's a Muslim. He's a Jew. But watch this, ladies and gentlemen. When I was dismissed out of the room to my no small satisfaction and relief, for I thought that these people were all made up of wonders. In this place, the place where they took him, watch this. This is page 31 in his book, Equiano's autobiography. This is from his biography. I'm going to show you how wicked Kelly Richardson and this guy is. This is the autobiography of Eliado Equiano, aka Gustavus Vasa. This is his book. Look at what he says. In this place I was called Jacob, but on board the African snow I was called Michael. That means somebody gave him the name Jacob. It's not because he's Israel, but this is the chapter, the page before, Mary. This is how wicked these guys are. This is the page before that he just read. So he's trying to con you. Look at this. In this place I was called, the place where he was. Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. At one time I thought it was something relative to magic, and not seeing it move, I thought it might be some way the whites had to keep their great men when they died and offer them libation as we used to do our friendly spirits. Okay, another African tradition, by the way, offering spirits through libation. Okay, in this state of anxiety, I remained till my master awoke. His master awoke. When I was dismissed out of the room, to my no small satisfaction and relief, for I thought that these people were all made up of wonders. In this place, I was called Jacob. But on board the African snow, which is a slave ship, I was called Michael. Now watch the next page now. The next page, I at the time began to understand him a little and refused to be called so. Gustave Vassa, that's when they named him that. And told him as well as I could that I would be called Jacob. He never said, like he said, I am to be called Jacob, the way how he's pronouncing it. He even read it wrong. Well, as I could, that I would be called Jacob. But he said I should not and still call me Gustavus. Ladies and gentlemen, read the sources that they gave you. These guys are con men. Now watch them make a video now and say Garfield is wrong and this is not in his book. This is in his book, ladies and gentlemen. This is page 31. And hold on, let me just make sure. Page 31 is the eating pork. Page 32, offer libations. And the next page further down, this place called Jacob, page 33. All right, I'm going to stop this. And I'm going to go back to the video for the next issue that we're going to talk about. This is easy work. Let's look at the Crafty Council again. And we're going to go to 127. Let me share my screen for Maroon to share it. This is easy work. Crafty Council. All right. Go ahead, Maroon. Maroon, you got me on the screen?
Yeah, you up there.
All right. Watch this, ladies and gentlemen.
Bring the clip up.
Yeah, so fam, we're going to first listen to the misinformation, and then we're going to clear it up afterwards. I'm back.
All right, here's clip number 10.
This is a picture of the primary. This is a picture of the primary. Right?
Mute your mic, Garfield.
9 years old, and he put that what he was what? His name was Gustave Vassa.
It is playing?
Oh, I'm sorry. Gustave Vassa. This is it right here. He wrote and gave them information that his name is Gustave Vassa and he was born in South Carolina. That's what he said. All right? That's out of his mouth.
That's what he said. That was out of his mouth. I'm telling you, fam, you can't make this stuff up. You can't make this stuff up. So that's what he said. That's out of his mouth. So basically, he said that, that he was born in South Carolina. His name was Gustave Vassa, and he was born in South Carolina. And we just read in that previous book, right, that name was given to him, right? That he literally said, "My name is Jacob," right? And then they beat that Gustave Vassa into him. But then, he's also saying, also making the statement that he's also was born in Carolina, right? So let's take a look at that reference ourselves. So, because if you can go to advance to the next slide. Okay, I know it's hard to read, fam, but basically the section that we're interested in is the section at the top. And Gustave Vassa's information is on the second line, right? And what you see is you see the shorthand from, you see kind of in the middle it says Gust.Vassa.capt. Right? What you do not see is South.Carolina. Or Carolina. On any of this, right? But this is what one of the things that we were saying, like the references that they showing you don't match up with what they're talking about, fam. That's facts. That's facts. So he was showing this one talking about he's from South Carolina. South Carolina's not on here. All right. So if we can go advance to the next slide, please, cuz.
Your mic muted. You got to unmute your mic.
All right. Thank you, my brother. All right. All right. Now, for clarity, Gustavo Vasa is not his name. It never was his name. That was a slave master name. And it's funny, it's actually a name from a Swedish guy who was a liberator for the Swedish people. So ironically, his name actually, Gustavo Vasa, that's why they named him, all right? Which is what slave masters do. They name you after famous people sometimes in different cultures. All right. So basically, he showed a record that says that the baptismal record never showed Equiano, what you call it. And by the way, let me do this real quickly for the Dumber and Dumber crew. If you're about Equiano, right, and you're about the information, why are you showing the picture on the right? Where did it say a slave owner gave him the name Jacob? Because he said when he's where he was, they called him Jacob. He said that out of his mouth. He said when he goes on the African snow, they call him Michael, showing that they're two different places. When he's with this slave master, they call him Jacob. When he goes over to the African snow on that ship, they call him Michael. So the name Jacob is not specifically for Jacob as in Israel. So that was just a misconception, or the guys are too dumb to understand basic English, dumb and dumber. But let's get to the baptismal record from 1759. All right. The baptismal record, for those who don't know, it's from St. Margaret's Church in Westminster. All right. This actually is the primary. The baptismal register primary from February 7th to 11th, 1759. If you look right here, you see Gustavo Vasa, a black from Carolina, 12 years old. It is clear as day. This is the primary for that. What happened is there's a lot of images for Gustavo Vasa on different areas, because guess what? He was on different places. Let's look at this. At this point, questions about the place and date of Vasa's nativity first arise. The parish register of St. Margaret's Church, Westminster, records the baptism on the 9th of February, 1759, of Gustavo Vasa, a black born in Carolina, 12 years old, indicating a birth date of 1746 or 1747. During the 18th century, Carolina frequently encompassed both North and South Carolina. Vasa himself, of course, may not have been responsible for the information or misinformation regarding the place and date of birth recorded. Now, again, this is what they recorded. So it does exist that it comes from a black from Carolina. So what the gentleman showed, you guys can't see Gustav. Let me ask Maroon, do you see the number 11 over here? Do you see above it like a 9? What does it say beside the 9?
Yeah, looking like 2, 3 nines. I don't know how they writing their nines down.
Right.
Gustavo, that's the name right there. Yes.
Gustavo Vasa, black from in Carolina, 12 years. So yes. He said it never existed. He said it don't exist and it doesn't read what it says. This is what he told the people last night, because he's never seen the primary. I've seen the primary. This is the primary of that. All right.
Now, in the video, in that same video right there, that he said he never, in that same video.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go ahead.
He showed actually the wrong picture for what he was talking about, which the audience wouldn't know, because they just suck in whatever they're like suckers. They just take in everything that's been said to them, and that's it. But I'm just trying to prove that Gustavo Vasa's record of him being at the Margaret Church when he's 12 years old. And what we need to ask ourselves right now is, how could he be 12 years old in 1759 if he's supposedly born 1745? So technically, he might have been 13 to 14 years old. But that's another conversation for another time. All right, let's go back to the video. You know what? Let me address one more thing that they actually address. They actually address the muster roll with Equiano. I think I didn't get the timeline for that properly. I think I get it wrong. What happened now with the 1773 muster roll is this. The first-hand evidence of Vasa's existence we have, however, is the appearance of his name 6th of August 1755 on the muster list of the Roebuck. Prior to that date, not surprisingly, no documentary evidence of Vasa's existence has been found. The names of Pascal and Vasa's young friend Richard Baker appear on the muster book of the Roebuck on the 18th and the 28th of June 1755 respectively. The muster and pay books of the Royal Navy are very reliable as records of who were on which ships and what time, whether members of the crew or not, because the ship's captains and pursuers had to account for all expenses incurred on board. All right, now, this is the ship called the Racehorse. All right, the Racehorse is mentioned in Equiano's book. Now, watch this now. This is the muster roll of the Racehorse. On here, it tells you, it's not clear for those who are watching in the audience, but Gustavo Vasa's name is here as Gusta Weston, and it says South Carolina right here, and his age 28. It is not clear for your eyes. Now, you might say, Garfield, why is his name Gusta Weston? Let's be careful. We got to be careful. Now, Benaiah Israel said, you got to review the sources that he's showing because it doesn't say his name. Okay, let's look at this for a second. Again, Gusta Weston, 28, and you see the place of birth, South Carolina. Now, ask yourself this. In 1773, he was how old? In 1773, he was a free man. So this is from his book, page 132, Equiano's book. He's telling you he was on the, thus I went until May 1773, when I was roused by the sound of fame to seek new adventures and to find towards the North Pole what our Creator never intended we should. Now, if you look at the picture of the racehorse, it says, a source from Constantine John Phipps, a voyage towards the North Pole. All right. Now, he's writing exactly his history right now. This is real life. So he says, Maroon, that he's on this boat called the Racehorse in May 1773. The muster roll was taken in 1773 in May. So this muster roll, the muster book Racehorse from 1773 lines up exactly with what Equiano said in his book. So they found evidence that, he was on the Racehorse. So now let's look at this now. The problem, Benaiah Israel says, is that the name, if you notice, he gains his freedom in 1766. So he's a free man for at least 7 years, right? Now, Vasa, hold on, let me go to which one? This one right here. Vasa tells us, Vasa is on the ship. The Racehorse records the entry board on the 17th of May of Gustavus Weston, identified as being an able seaman, age 28, and born in South Carolina. Now, ladies and gentlemen, when you look on the ship, there's only 3 other black men on the ship. The only other black man on the ship is Gustavo Weston. His name was Gustavo Feston on another roll. Now, Gustavo Weston and Feston was certainly Gustavus Vasa. Weston and Feston are both plausible approximate phonetic spellings of Vasa, the rating or rank age. Now, look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you this. If you minus 28 from 1773, you get 1745, the exact time when he says he was actually born. Watch this. The other men that were on board, we have records of them. You have a guy that says, I'm 22-year-old Richard York born in Guinea, which is Africa. You have another guy, Jonathan Syphax, born in Madagascar. So there's no reason for him to lie if he comes from Igbo or come from Nigeria, well, we call it wherever in Africa, or Guinea or Ethiopia, whichever term he wanted to use. So he used the term that he's from South Carolina at that point. And ladies and gentlemen, it is very important that we realize something. in 1773, according, again, let me repeat, according to Gustavo Vassa, aka Oleada Equiano, he was on the racehorse. This is from his book. So when we line up the book with the roll from the book, we find the name Gustavo Weston. All right. I'm going to leave it right there for that. All right. I'm going to go back and play another part of the video. All right. I just wanted to address that completely. All right. Let's get back to the Crafty Council. All right. So now let's get back to them about Igbos coming from white men.
All right. And so as we were talking about it at the top of this next session,
mute your mic
from white men, right? That was a statement as well. Do we have a clip for that? I just want you all to listen to the statement, and then we'll clean it up on the back end. Yeah, because I think that one's come from slide 14.
Okay, here we go.
Look at how they think. As to the difference of color, this is from Equiano. Look at this. As to the difference of color between the Eboan Africans and the modern Jews, I shall not presume to account for it. It is a subject which has engaged the pens of men of both genius and learning and is far above my strength. The most able and reverend Mr. T. Clarkson, however, in his much admired essay on the slavery and the commerce of the human species, has ascertained that the cause in manner that once solves every objection on that account, and on my mind at least, has produced the fullest conviction. I shall therefore refer to that performance for their theory. Contenting myself with extracting a fact as related by Dr. Mitchell, the Spaniards who have inhabited America under the torrid zone for any time are become as dark colored as our native Indians of Virginia, of which I myself have been a witness. There's also another incident of a Portuguese settlement at Mitombo, a river in Sierra Leone, where the inhabitants are bred from a mixture of the first. I don't think that's related. But the point that why I play that is because they're saying that you turn black, you're really white. You're supposed to, if you're a Jew, you're white. And the reason why you turn dark is because you go in the sun. That's what his sources are saying. They believe in the Hamitic hypothesis. So whoever you quote, you talk about my research methodology, brother. I'm going to tell you something right now. Ain't nobody on the scene doing it like us.
I believe the part that was missing was where he was saying that they were, they basically that the Igbos were white, right? The Igbos were white. So let's clean this. Let's go ahead and clean this up, fam. So basically, in Equiano's book, in Uncle O's book, and hopefully my audio is okay, guys. But in Uncle O's book, he then states, like, after he goes into their practices and their practices, matching up with Israel. He then states, and actually, because do you actually have that that part of Uncle O's book where he talks about the difference in color? Because
let me see if I can.
You could find it if you do a search.
Right here, you said as to the difference between colors between the.
Yeah. So that's it, fam. So this is what we was reading. As to the difference of color. Let me see if I can increase the.
Actually, because I actually screen printed this. If you want me to, you know how I do with my ripped pages. So if you want me, I can pull that up. If that'll make it easier.
I mean, it's up to family that's in the chat, because I just did a full screen on my window, and I can actually see it.
Is that better? I'm trying to.
Well, I lost the bottom part of it.
All right.
I think it was okay before. All
right. Can you still see it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So hopefully you all's eyes are better than mine. But basically, you can see off to the left. This is the part that we're talking about, fam. Like, as to the difference of color between the Eboan, so Igbo Africans, right, and the modern Jews, I shall not presume to account for it. It is a subject which has engaged the pens of men of both genius and learning, and is far above my strength. In other words, hey, that's above my pay grade. I can't tell it, right? I can't really say anything about it. But let's see what he goes. He says, the most able, Reverend Mr. T. Clarkson, however, in in his much admired essay on the slavery and commerce of the human species, has ascertained the cause in a manner that at once solves every objection on that account, and on my mind at least has produced the fullest conviction. I shall therefore refer to that performance for the theory, contending myself with the extracting a fact as related by Dr. Mitchell. The Spaniards who have inhabited America under the torrid zone for any time are become dark colored, as are native Indians of Virginia, of which I myself have been a witness. There is also another instance of a Portuguese settlement in Motamba. Forgive me if I mess up these names. A river in Sierra Leone, where the inhabitants are bred from a mixture of the first Portuguese discovered with the natives and are now become in their complexion and in woolly quality of their hair, perfect Negroes, retaining, however, a smattering of the Portuguese language. Aha, fam. You see, the Igbos are saying that they're white. That's what cousin Uncle O is saying. That's what they're saying, that they're white. Okay, fam, let's go to the reference. Keep telling you, fam.
It's unbelievable though, because how, to even say that, to say that Uncle O believed that the Igbos come from white people. I mean, it's nowhere in any of the sources, but for him to even say that, and in matter of fact, not even just say him, but all of them pushing this narrative, because they started pushing this narrative that when we start seeing, the Black Portuguese, so to speak, the Black Jews per se, that actually we're talking about referring to people that are descended from white Portuguese, Black people descended from white people.
Yeah.
And so we see that entire group running with this narrative. So it's almost like a match made in heaven for them.
Yeah, I mean that's been like the defense of the establishment of the folks that are in Israel today. That they are a representation of what Israel was and is, and that any phenotypes, any people that look different from them, either they either adopted, or they were either what's the word I'm looking for, converted, right, or they were slaves, right? Basically, somehow, some way, we're not legit, is what I'm saying. Is that's been the narrative all this time, right? And so that's why you see these types of references about, because it's like, why would you go on there, right? And they're gonna cut you off. They're gonna not give you the full chance to present yourself, and then you're presenting to a people that don't want to know the truth in the first place. I mean, to me, it's like a lost cause, right? And I think my brother Teo said something to that same effect. Like, they don't want to know the truth. No matter what you bring out, it's not good enough. No matter what DNA you bring out, you don't know what you're looking at, right? Even though it's plain as day, even though it checks all the boxes, even though if this was a court case, the person would be convicted and we'd be waiting on his sentencing, right? It's that overwhelming as far as the information that we have. But anyway, fam, if you look at the screen, this is the part where Garfield said Uncle O lied. It's like when it says, indeed, this is the opinion of Dr. Gill. So he says, Dr. Gill didn't say that, right? Remember that? It says, Dr. Gill, who in his commentary on Genesis very aptly deduces the pedigree of the Africans from Afar. Now, remember this, fam, I got it in green for a reason. From Afar and Afra, the descendants of Abraham by Keturah, his wife, and concubine, right? And so this Uncle O saying that this is in Dr. Gill's commentary on Genesis. So let's look at the commentary. Let's look at Dr. Gill's commentary on Genesis. And I think we'll have it on the next slide. All right, here we go. So Dr. Gill's commentary, you can find it in like Bible tools, Bible study tools. And you can see where it says Genesis chapter 25, verse 4. So we're specifically going to look at Dr. Gill's exposition on the Bible, the book of Genesis, chapter 25, verse 4. right? Genesis chapter 25, verse 4, Dr. Gill's commentaries on this specific verse. And he says, and the sons of Midian, the fourth son of Abraham by Keturah, he had 5 sons, next mentioned, who were heads of so many tribes of families in Midian. Hence, we read of 5 kings of Midian. And you can see the names Epher, Hanok, right? And it says, the 2 first of these, whom Cleodemus calls Aphra, and Aphra. That sounds familiar, right? You remember that in Uncle O's book? Calls Aphra and Aphra, and makes them to be the sons of Abraham by Keturah. When they were his grandsons, he says, from them the city of Aphra and all Africa. All Africa. So what do you see, fam? In Dr. Gill's commentary on Genesis chapter 25, verse 4, Uncle O correctly quoted his reference. Not only that, because he actually gives 2 references in there, because I think I have the second one on the next screen. You can advance to the next one. All right. So
all right. I just want to play out exactly what they say. I don't want anybody to say I didn't play what they said. I don't want anybody to say anything. Let me share my screen and just respond. Basically, that they're saying, I said that Equiano lied on the sources, Gill and some 2 other sources. The reason why I said he lied, first of all, because none of the sources said that. Barine, add that to the screen for me, please. None of the sources that Equiano used said that the Igbos come from Jews. He's the only person that said that. So he's trying to give the reader the impression that these scholars agree with him. This is why I said he's lying or he's playing the dozen. He's doing something. All right. So anyway, what I'm reading, it comes from here, and it also comes from Equiano's book. All right. This is for Sister Araya, who said I'm plagiarizing. All right. So let's take a look here. Did Dr. John Gill, did he disagree with Equiano? This is Equiano speaking. Here I cannot forbear suggesting that what has long struck me very forcibly, namely the strong analogy, which even by this sketch, imperfect as it is, appears to prevail in the manners and customs of my countrymen and those of the Jews. Before they reached the land of promise, and particularly the patriarch, while they were yet in that pastoral state which is described in Genesis, an analogy which alone would induce me to think that the one people had sprung from the other. At this point, Equiano weaves into his discussion the biblical commentaries of John Gill, John Brown, and Arthur Bedford. He cites these writers in order to present as their confirmation of his casual impression what is actually a well-scripted, thoughtfully orchestrated argument designed to persuade the reader that the Igbo are derived from biblical, specifically Jewish ancestors. In his autobiography, in other words, these commentators seem to confirm what has long struck him as more than coincidental similarities between the Igbo and the Jews. Equiano gestures toward Dr. Gill's commentary on Genesis to note how Gill ably deduces the pedigree of the Africans from the descendants of Abraham. John Clarke's Truths of the Christian Religion and Arthur Bedford's Scripture Chronology, he informs the reader both corroborate Gill's findings. A careful study of Equiano's sources, however, reveals that none of these commentators actually claim that Africans are descendants of ancient Jews, which is what Equiano, that's why I use the word he's a liar. He's lying on the sources. The claim is Equiano's exclusively, but because Equiano anticipates that his readers will likely reject any interpretive creativity on his part, he attributes the biblical commentators who are familiar to his English readers the claim that the Igbo nation is of Jewish origin. It is true that English biblical commentary commonly identified Africans as descendants of biblical characters, but not the ones whom Equiano suggests. Equiano claimed that the descendants of the biblical Hebrew patriots eventually made their way to West Africa, producing the Igbo nation, a people whose religion bore, in his estimation, clear evidence of Jewish origins. Equiano anticipates objection from his readers on the very grounds that ancient Jews, as popularly conceived in the colonial era, were not dark-skinned. So this now is to address the part where I said that they're talking about saying that the Jews originally are white and the Igbos come from those white people. Because remember, Equiano is stating that the reason he's giving an excuse for why they are black today. Why would you give an excuse for them being black if they are really black? That means they were white. We have to be honest. Equiano states, moreover, the reigning scientific disposition toward pigmentation represented dark skin as an aberration from normative human phenotypic expression. White skin, in other words, was normal, so it was only dark skin that required an explanation. But Equiano has done his homework and employs subtle ironic maneuvers to explain this enigma of white skin ancestors producing dark skinned peoples in Africa. You see why? This is why I said he's saying that they come from white people. He had to explain why they are dark today. Why would he need to explain they're dark if he didn't think that they were originally white? He announces that his difference of color between the Iboan Africans and the modern Jews is a problem beyond his abilities to explain, and for which he feigns not to bear a solution for his readers. Despite this self-abnegating posture, however, explain if he does, Equiano cites 2 instances of Europeans, Spaniards and Portuguese, settling basically in the heat, so that's why they turned black. All right? All right. So that explained both those situations as far as the Igbo coming from white men and as far as Dr. Gill. All right. Now let me go to one more slide. And I think after that, I'm pretty much done. All right. Let's go to the 2. Right here. 2 hour 35.
That Uncle O was on slaves. He was, my bad, cuz what Garfield saying that Uncle O lied on, and that Dr. Gill never.
You know the video not playing, right?
And I heard him. I was like,
yeah, the video is playing, right?
Where is he coming
Now it is.
I read the book. You know,
but it's not up on the screen. We can't see it.
I actually don't. Oh man.
Hold on. Well, you don't really need to see it. You guys just needed to hear the. Hold on 1 second.
All right, go ahead.
Oh,
but even then,
we can get it. We can get it.
Even in the chapter, there's nothing in the
Mute your mic.
That was one that I heard him. I was like, what? Where is he coming out with that one? You know, that I read the book. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyway,
you know what? Cuz I actually don't. Oh man. I think I was getting tired of going through them. Oh man!
But even then,
we can get it.
Even in the chapter, there's nothing in the chapter that, or in this book at all, because what you were reading from, actually, I believe, comes from that chapter. He was trying to make reference when he was talking about when you read about his name,
yeah,
and the name being given to him, how he was, sold, and how he was out on a ship with the owners. That's actually the chapter he was referring to.
Yeah, well, so, and fam, just to kind of catch you up. So, like we said, there's a bunch of lies out there. And one of the lies was what we were talking about. He said Uncle O lied on the sources. And what cousin Dr. Kelly was talking about was that they also said that Uncle O was owned slaves. And that he was, my bad, cuz I forgot to put that clip in there. I think I got busy. But yeah, literally Garfield talks about Uncle O being like this slave, getting into the slave trade, or however he puts it, right? But he's talking about Uncle O being in this the slave trade or whatnot. And that too, fam, is just a flat out lie. And he says, well, go and read chapter 11. Go and read chapter 11. And so in chapter 11, Most High willing, or is that?
I got it up. Can you see it, guys?
I can see it. So chapter 11, to give you a synopsis. Let's see. So just to give you a synopsis of what's happening, because you have to know what's happening at this point, right? So Uncle O, he's working as a servant to a doctor. He is a servant, fam. Uncle O's not running anything. That's the whole thing that you get from reading his book. He's not running nothing. He's a black man trying to survive. And in fact, you talk.
All right, let me address this real quickly. He's saying that Equiano was not involved with the slave trade at all, and that he was a servant. He was never a servant. He was a free man after 1766. Let's be clear. Equiano tells us this himself, that he's a free man. So why would we put this on the brother? You could share my screen, my brother. Let me just make it clear to everybody that he's a free man, and we have to give him his props for that. He's a free man. Barine, share the link. All right. Okay. Here we are. I wanted to show when he was actually free. Okay, here it goes. In chapter 7 contains Equiano's account of his own manumission in 1766. All right, Equiano's owner, the Philadelphia Quaker, Robert King, X, Y, and Z. So we have on record of him being free. So he's free at this time. He's free running around. All right, exactly. He's free. So how is he a servant at this time? So in chapter 11, this is what I pulled out on Reggie during the debate. The author attempts to instruct him in the truths of the gospel. Frustrated by the bad example of some in the ship, they arrive on the Mosquito shore with some slaves they purchased at Jamaica. Now, ladies and gentlemen, why is he involved in the purchasing of slaves? That means you are endorsing the slave trade. You are endorsing slavery. So we can't sugarcoat because he's Oleada Equiano. We have to be honest. So now when Garfield said that he was a part of slavery, let's take a look at what happened. This is from Oleada Equiano's actual book, page 160. I was happy once more amongst my friends and brethren till November, when my old friend, the celebrated Dr. Irving, bought a remarkable fine sloop, about 150 tons. He had a mind for a new adventure in cultivating a plantation at Jamaica and the Mosquito shore. Asked me to go with him and said that he would trust me with his estate in preference to anyone. By the advice there of my friend, I accepted of the offer, knowing that the harvest was fully ripe. He embarked on that, said he was going to bring Jesus to the people. All right. Equiano then went out to the Caribbean again in 1775. And this time he became involved in a project to set up a new plantation or colony on the Caribbean coast of Central America, probably in present-day Nicaragua. This adventure seems somewhat problematic to us today, as Equiano was involved in two projects which are specifically associated with European colonization. First of all, he appoints himself as a Christian missionary, hoping that he can bring Christianity to the Native Americans in the area. Secondly, he and his associates buy slaves to work on the plantation, and Equiano is clearly involved in this at a high level, although he's at some pain to point out that he did everything that I could to comfort the poor creatures and render their condition easy. All right, so there is evidence right there from himself. Let me point out another thing. After short stops at Antigua and Montserrat, the sloop landed on Jamaica's shores. A smaller vessel was made ready to sail to Mosquito shores, and the doctor and Equiano procured several slaves to take with them. What does procured mean? Equiano chose many of his own countrymen from Libya. The ship arrived at the Mosquito shore, where the Indians helped the doctor survey the land to choose where he would build the plantation. The land was wild and there were beasts that roared throughout the night. While there, Equiano served as overseer, a position he had once hated more than anything, but did what he could to show kindness and patience towards the slaves. Come on, family. This is a look at him traveling all over the world and different places and so forth. And this is the Mosquito shore from the National Library from Kingston, Jamaica. All right. All right. I'm not going to play any more videos, but I just want to make a point. He said that the Igbo, he made a comment at the end of the video that Garfield lied about the term Igbo coming out of the book, right? The first edition, ladies and gentlemen, I want everybody to look at this. The first edition, no, my point is he said that I lied about him being involved with a slave trade after he was free. So I proved that he was involved with some sort of buying slaves and all that type of stuff after he was free. All right. So now, anyway, this is the interesting narrative of the life of Equiano, a volume, one of the editions. If you look at the edition here, this kingdom is divided into many provinces or districts, in one of the most remote and fertile of which I was born in the year 1745, situated in a charming fruit field named Isaka. Where is the term Igbo? It has been removed. It has been removed. Let's go to another edition. The life of Oliada Equiano Gustavo Vasas, the African, written by himself. Let's look again. I was born in the year 1745. Where is the term Igbo? It's missing. Let's go to a third witness, another one written by himself. Again, I was born in the year 1745, situated in a charming fruitvale named Isaka. There's no term Igbo. The term Igbo has been removed by the author. The life and adventures of Oliada Equiano, another old version. Again, in one of the most remote and fertile provinces of this kingdom, I was born in the year 1745. My father was one of those chief-style Mbrenche. No mention of Igbo. And my fifth witness, again, his edition of his book. I was born in the year 1745. The word Igbo is not there. All right. So to be fair and to be balanced, I am going to, for the next 2 minutes, put forward the arguments about Equiano, a fair and balanced argument. And this is from Brian Cheney's website. All right. There's arguments that Equiano was born in Carolina. The argument is Equiano's baptismal record at St. Margaret Church, the one that I showed earlier, 1759, records that he was born in Carolina. A royal muster roll from Constant P. Arctic Expedition of 1773 that says Equiano was born in South Carolina. In both cases, the information almost certainly came from Equiano himself. The argument is that he was born in Africa, Equiano's own autobiography. The interesting narrative tells us that he was born in Africa. The information comes from Equiano himself. All right, circumstantial biographical evidence. Arguments that Equiano was born in Carolina. Equiano gets the dates wrong about the ships in which he was brought from America to England, which would be consistent with him having made the story up. Equiano's account of his life is usually very accurate when it can be checked against independent sources, making it surprising that his account of his first 10 years can be shown to be inaccurate in parts. Equiano never used the name Equiano before publishing his autobiography. All his friends and acquaintances knew him by the name Gustavus Vasa. He probably made up that name Oliada Equiano as part of the careful construction of an African persona he carried out in 1789. The argument that Equiano was born in Africa to be balanced. Although Equiano gets the dates wrong about the ships in which he was brought from America to England, he was a very young child at the time and suffering a severe trauma, so it is reasonable to assume that his memory might sometimes be at fault. Equiano's account of his life is usually very accurate when it can be checked against independent sources, showing that it has usual practice to tell the truth as far as he could remember. Although Equiano never used his birth name before 1789, this was not unusual. Few slaves or former slaves used their African names. Equiano's friend Kobna Otoba Coagna, for example, used his slave name of John Stuart throughout his life, except on the title page of his book in 1787. Equiano's motivation. Arguments that Equiano was born in Carolina. Equiano's main motivation was to end the slave trade. So he would write or say anything in his published work that he thought could get away with as long as it brought the abolition of the slave trade closer. Equiano had nothing to hide in his early life, so he told the truth about his birthplace to the church clerk at his baptism and to the naval officer who compiled a muster roll in which he gave his birthplace as South Carolina. Arguments that Equiano was born in Africa, the balanced approach. Equiano's main motivation was to end the slave trade, so he would be very careful to tell the truth in his published work and not write or say anything that might bring him or his campaign into disrepute. Equiano had been abducted and enslaved and thus wished to hide his true identity by lying about his birthplace to the church clerk and to the muster roll folks. Arguments that Equiano was born in Carolina. Much of the early part of the interesting narrative in which Equiano describes Africa and the Middle Passage closely resembles similar accounts made by Equiano or American authors, for example, Anthony Benezet. All right. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there. But I do want to play one more video. And it's queued up. If my brother Maroon will share this video here, and I'll mute my mic while I'm playing it. All right, here we go.
Subsequent panel discussions, they seem to almost give some insight into what might have motivated such a move.
Your mic not muted.
Strikes me as insight into the psychology behind this move. Consider these interesting clips.
It was crazy because when me and you were talking, I'm like, man, it's this other professor I'm going to email, and man, I'm hoping that by today, because me and you have been talking about the whole plan of the video, you was, getting ready to drop it and things like that. And I'm like, man, I pray that this guy, respond back.
So back on December 3rd, they were put in a position where at least one of them, William Brown, was hoping and praying for another scholar to come through where Bunis fell short.
And it was like, man, I think it was like maybe 3 or 4 hours. I think me and you talked together, like, yo, I just got an email. And then it was almost kind of like the things that we were talking about. Like, hey, we want to make sure that we get some, solid, no vague, gray, response, anything that they can't use. We don't want to try to. So I kind of pressed them. I think me and Beneo was texting too.
This time around, they didn't want to try to build a case off of something vague like they did with Bunis. Rather, they needed something more solid and definitive.
So I was like, listen, are you sure? Are you saying this? Is this what you're saying? Are you absolutely, just in case we have to pull those receipts or whatnot. And when he came back and said he's definitively saying it is not Arabic, I was like, we don't even have to have the conversation about any type of social experiments or any type of language experimentations. That's just off the table, period. It's a definitive response.
Just as they were hoping Bunis could provide the definitive response which ends the debate, so too here, they wanted something definitive. However, this time, with this new scholar, they needed it to be far more substantive than what they got from Bunis. And especially fun and interesting is this next comment from Kelly Richardson.
What's cool here?
Wait, how did Pews get involved in this?
When he came back, he said here, thanks for these photos, William. I must say, looking at these photos, the old cursive handwriting of the Judeo-Spanish language seems quite clear. Also, there are other characters on the pews of cursive Hebrew used in Israel today. By the looking of the writings, the pews couldn't have been written by the same person. Remember when we was going through, I was like, man, he must have been eavesdropping on our conversations. Because remember I said that to you.
Now, I have no idea if Kelly Richardson knew Brown was writing the emails from Katz. And from that clip, I'm open to the possibility that Richardson did.
All right. The reason why I play that is because they keep calling me a liar. They have not condemned forthrightly this Richard Katz situation. But I do want to say to the folks, why would Equiano create this narrative the way it is? Share my screen, Maroon. Let me bring something up. This is from the book Igbo in the Atlantic. Why might Equiano have created an African nativity and disguised an American birth? Before 1789, The abundant evidence and many arguments against the transatlantic slave trade came from white voices alone. Both opponents and defenders of the trade recognized the rhetorical power an authentic African voice could yield in the struggle. In an essay on the slavery and commerce of the human species, Equiano's future subscriber, Thomas Clarkson, acknowledged the desirability of hearing the victim's point of view. Clarkson dramatized the transatlantic slave trade by placing the trade in the clearest and most conspicuous point of view, employing the virtual reality of fiction to convey factual experience. He imagined himself interviewing a melancholy African. We shall, he wrote, throw a considerable part of our information on this head into the form of a narrative. We shall suppose ourselves, in short, on the continent of Africa and relate a scene which, from its agreement with unquestionable facts, might not unreasonably be presumed to have been presented to our view had we really been there. Gilbert Franklin, an apologist for the slave trade and slavery, responded to Clarkson in an answer to the Reverend Mr. Clarkson's essay with a letter dated November 30th, 1788. Horrid picture of West India tyranny and brutality, and this is drawn upon the authority of people whose names Mr. Clarkson ventures not to produce. I challenge Mr. Clarkson to produce a single man of decent character, whoever gave him such an account. I do not mean a gentleman. I do not mean even a white man. I defy him to produce a Negro of character who would not turn pale in fabricating such assertions. I call upon Mr. Clarkson to produce any book he ever perused in which he found such stories related. Equiano knew that to continue its increasing momentum, the anti-slave trade movement needed precisely the kind of account of Africa and the Middle Passage he could supply. An African, not an African American, voice was what the abolitionist cause required. He gave a voice to the millions of people forcibly taken from Africa and brought to the Americas as slaves. Equiano recognized a way to do very well financially by doing a great deal of good in supplying that much needed voice. He may have forged a part of his personal identity and created an Igbo national identity, avant la lettre, to enable himself to become an effective spokesman for his fellow diaspora Africans. That's it, family. If anybody have any questions, I'm here.
All right. If anybody got any questions, I wanna pull something up. Garfield, matter of fact, before I even get to that right there, let me see. Forget about them slave ships right now.
Mm-hmm.
I played a video earlier, and he said it was Hebrew on Hebrew crime. Let me see if I could pull that screen up there right when you came on.
I got it. I heard it. I love
All
that.
right. So my thing is, Garfield, do you telling me, do you see Hebrews in West Africa at all? No, I don't want to talk about slave ships. I don't want to talk about Virginia. I don't want to talk about none in America. Do you see Hebrews in West Africa?
Yeah.
You do.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a little bit. Let me hear a little bit of that right there.
Look at my screen. Share my screen real quick. This is the Majorcan Catalan Atlas. The Majorcan Jews documented where the Jews were in West Africa. They documented it. They documented where they traded, where they were, everywhere, which town they were in. It's all over the map.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. No. I'm talking about black Jews. My bad.
Black and white Jews. Black Jews too. But the issue is these people are traders. This is where
even the black ones.
The black ones. Remember, the ones that mix with the African king's daughters. Those darker skinned Jews. Ladies and gentlemen, they helped to trade the slaves. That's what they did. That was their job. The Luso Africans. What was their job? Come on, man. What is going on here? And the brother said that the people, and this is where I agree with him on something that he said that was very important. He said that the Dahomey people say that they are they come from Dan, right? Let's say they do come from Dan, which I don't believe. But actually, I'm sorry, they do come from Dan according to their oral tradition, but it doesn't say Dan as in the Dan he's talking about. It's Dan like happened like 1500, like in the 1500s. So that later on the story is retold, and then now they say they come from the tribe of Dan, which is understandable. But he's saying that the people in Dahomey are some of the most wicked people. Like I said the other day, the people in Wida is the most wickedest people. So the fact is, they sold the people who they had. They used to do slave raiding. So they grabbed the people in Alada, they grabbed the people in other port cities, and they would sell them to the Europeans. It's true. So they sold people. So the people, if they are the tribe of Dan, then the Jews, the Israelites sold Israelites, which makes sense. But I don't agree that Dan is the tribe of what do you call it? The tribe of Dahomey. I don't believe that.
All right. Anybody else before I pull this other piece up right here? I want to play a couple of minutes of this right here. This is the earlier part. I fell asleep because by the time I found out what was going on, it was a bit late. But here, let me put this up here. All right. If y'all got questions for Garfield now, this is the time. Just the time right here.
I think I took the clip down. All right, but I'll share what Garfield, his response, right, to what I initially did on the matter. And if I have enough time, I'll upload it so you can see my original response to him. But this is what he responded with after doing part one.
As you can see with the slide, you can read it if you're watching live. But when you're watching a video, you can't see the words. But the main parts is the yellow parts that you have to pay attention to. The first thing somebody said in the audience, and I'm going to give everybody in the audience their respect, and so they could understand. What is a Lancado? For anybody in the audience, what is a Lancado? Why would Garfield put Lancado there? Well, actually, it wasn't me. It's actually 93 who actually wrote this slide. But why would Garfield use this slide and say the Lancado descendants?
Now, that should say a lot to you guys, right? That should tell, I mean, it speaks volumes of what we're dealing with here. You have someone that referred to himself as the Hebrew Slayer, but then he just openly admit that he didn't write this slide, that he actually had help and assistance through somebody else. I don't know who the person is. Don't really care too much about the person or anything like that. Not even worth mentioning the name. So from what I understand, they made all kinds of videos trying to say that I misunderstood them. No, I did not misunderstand them. I stated exactly what transpired, and I'm going to try to get this up here, and then we're going to go ahead and give clarity again. Just do a refresher as we go into the additional lies that, as I pointed out in the initial video I did, that I spotted right off the bat. Benea, did you want to share anything?
No, I was just going to say, man, I wish I had somebody to do my research for me and do my slides. Oh, goodness. I could go to bed early, but yeah, it's interesting because, back when me and Brother Ron Dalton Jr., we were doing our conferences, one of the things that we saw was that we kind of saw the attacks against the truth evolve, right? Like when we first came out, Brother Ron, he dealt mostly with, there's a lot of, Jewish folks that would kind of pop up in the lives and the chats and stuff like that. And they would, try to, refute some of the truths that were out there. And so they, of course, we held their feet to the fire. We held them to those old references, like we, same references that we do today, that have, kind of grown and grown and grown as far as, the truth is concerned. But, that was the attack vector back then, right? And so it evolved from, the Jewish community. Then we started to see an uptick in the Christian, the apologetics community at large, right? So they started to take up the banner, kind of sort of followed some of the similar attack vector, but they tended to stay in some of the modern references, which is what we told them day one, which is you're not going to find good luck finding the truth in those modern references. Your references are our references are in those old books, right? And of course, like it evolved again, because some of the faces of those that were bringing out these counter arguments, they weren't our faces. They weren't people from our own community. And shout out to Brother Dante. Shout out to Brother the Teo Ministries that are kind of holding it down. These when these attacks came out, they were of a different persuasion, right? And some of our brothers kind of pointed that out, like, why are you guys here? You guys don't have nothing else better to do than to antagonize, right? Black, us brews, right? They don't have nothing else to do. We got a ton of stuff that we got to do, that we got to carve out our day to try to, come and put together a presentation for our people. But then, it evolved again, right? And this is the same thing that we saw like during the Black Panthers, where the evolution was to find someone that looks like you to bring the truth to you, right? And we've seen that in the Issachars, and we've seen that in some, the Garfields now, that are trying to come forward, bringing these truths, whereas behind them.
Garfield, let me ask you a question.
Yeah, bro.
Are you training people to not trust the word of the Israelite teachers? More-raised people's putting work in out here. People that's trying to research and share information, and they're sharing it with each other. Are you trying to train people not to trust the Israelites?
Train people to not to trust the Israelites. Wow. And by the way, that name Hebrew.
No, because something came, not with you specifically, but you heard the statement that he made. Something came up, and I can't lie, they got me. And it ain't even from the Israelites. That's why it got me scratching my head. I'm telling you, I'm feeling, oh man, I don't want it better not be. I don't want it to be right with these other people. Someone brought out the fact of, just other people sharing videos, and why they kind of have matter of fact, everybody in here, do me a favor, name the top 5, 8, 9, 10, 12 people y'all think bang on Israel. Name them, put the top 5 people on YouTube that bang on Israel. Go ahead, Garfield.
Yeah. First of all, my name, Hebrew Slayer, again, Dante with the Brooklyn Magic. I never call myself.
And I'm sorry. And again, the Brooklyn Slayer, you could address that too. And the fact with the what I had written there. Oh, them slides. That was just a few of them, or you just happened to borrow them from '93. Did you deceive people with the slides? I wrote that down earlier.
Which slides? Oh, you mean the
one that Pastor Kelly was talking about, them slides that you couldn't really read. It was some highlighted parts or something to that effect.
Yeah, those slides are from '93. Yeah, they are. They are from '93.
And you've been saying that from the gate.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Go ahead. All right.
Let's take a look at what you asked me. You said, am I training? I'm not training anybody to do anything. All I'm doing is putting out information to correct misinformation. And the problem is, the Israelites, they are stuck. They are stuck because they can't find anybody in history that actually they could relate to and say, I believe what you believe, unless the person is a Christian. If you go back in history and you look at somebody who believes what they believe, you're talking about the early 2nd century Christian movement. They seem like an early 2nd Christian Gnostic movement that wasn't on the right track, if you ask me. And the fact of the matter is, if I'm wrong, come and just say, Garfield, you're wrong. I have no problem saying I'm wrong. There's nothing wrong with being wrong. There's nothing wrong with saying that I am wrong or so forth. But the problem is, truth hurts. And if you see the response to a lot of things that I'm saying, people talking with anger, like, wow, I must be onto something here. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day.
But the thing is, so you sent every source that Dante and them, Pastor Kelly, Benaiah Israel, Ron Dog, every source that they're using are got to be Christians?
No, no, I'm not saying
you
that.
You say there's nobody making the claim that's a bearing witness with their claims? No.
I'm saying that if they're claiming that they're Israel, they just got to show me somebody in history a group of people that they identify with before the slave trade. Show me somebody back in history that they identify with, and who they're going to identify with. A Christian, because only the Christians believed in the Old Testament and the New Testament. If you believe in Christ, you are a Christian. Point blank.
Those that came over, if they didn't have the gospel yet, if the gospel was in East Africa, You know, during time, Mark, people want to argue, you know, Ethiopian church in third round 333 with Ethiopia accepting the Christian message. Do you see Israelites that are Torah only in West Africa? And they came over here as slaves, Torah only. Y'all hear what I'm asking him? Maybe I could reword it better. And they came over here as at least knowing Old Testament, knowing the Torah.
No. Show me evidence of that. Show me the person that get off the boat talking about Torah, talking about Jacob, Isaac, Moses. There's nobody doing it. This is the point. Maroon, me and the brother Truth Stewart from NBK days had an argument. This is how this came up 8 years ago. We had an argument while we were researching. And he said, show me somebody off the slave ship that came off with Judaism. And that's how that conversation came about. And nobody has been able to point out some group of people that came off the boat that followed this tradition. There's nobody. So if the person, this is the problem with Dante. Dante says the Sephardic Jews, he's connected to them. So if you're connected to them, show me them on a slave ship, because they carried over their religion. They clearly carried their religion to the Caribbean and to the Americas, but not as slaves. Not as slaves. So if you look at the Jews, now he said the Jews in Nigeria, they were Jews. So if they were practicing Jews, why don't you show me somebody coming off the slave ship? You had Igbos that came off the ship that was part of the Ekpe society, secret societies in Cuba and Haiti. So how is it that these people are Jews when they're carrying a tradition from Africa and showing us? These people, what they're doing, I tell you, I mean it with all my heart. And I'm saying this, and I'm saying this with the greatest of feelings. You're either an identity thief or a case of mistaken identity. I'm telling you, these people are not Israelites. They're not.
What about black people practicing the belief in Palestine?
In Palestine, of course, they're full of that.
Oh, so you don't got no beef with that?
No, listen. There's tons of people who is darker shade, lighter shade, everywhere. But the point is, they're not us. African Americans have an identity crisis. Kumbaya is a record that was recorded, Terrence Jackson, has nothing to do with Yahweh.
Y'all ain't got that Kumbaya, that's no proof. That's garbage. That's no proof that they were Israelites and they calling on y'all, come by here, y'all, that they're repenting.
The Gullah people made that song up. Come on, that's a part of America. That's in the Library of Congress. That's where Dante like to go, right? It's in the Library of Congress. So
read what he said on the screen right here. Thank you, in the super chat, y'all. He said, stop misrepresenting. This Dante right here.
I know. I ain't paying Dante no mind. He ain't going to throw me off my screen. I'm good, man. Hey, listen, Dante, you're wrong, bro. I proved everything you said the other day was wrong, and you have nothing to go by. And what happened is, this is why they don't want to debate, Maroon, because when you debate, you got to pull out your sources and you got to hear the other side. You see, I'm not losing nothing. You got to hear the other side. So that's why I showed the other side of the argument with Equiano. There's one side and there's the other side. This is why I went through that in my slides, to show people I'm not being biased. There's two sides to a story. Mm-hmm. The issue is, on 2 times he's recorded saying he come from South Carolina. In his book, before 1789, he never said he was from Igbo land. He never said he was Equiano before that. So you gotta admit there's something suspicious going on here. Come on. You got to admit, I'm not saying he's not African. Bear in mind, I'm not saying he's not African. I'm just saying that he's more than likely an African American.
Read that screen right there.
Okay. Hey, Chalice, what about the Maroons? There's 50 different groups of Maroons in North America alone. Research them and find if you find Hebraic culture. 5,000 in Brazil alone. Show me and research and tell me if you find Hebraic culture. Maroons in Jamaica, Maroons in Suriname, the Maroons all over. Come on. You can't. Dante, listen, man, this is stopping their game that they're playing with y'all. I'm telling you, it's stopping the game. I'm about the truth, family. It's not about, listen, I'm connected to the Bible whether I want to be or not, because I grew up in a Christian household. So at the end of the day, in my growth, in my studies, I'm putting out information that I know now. So whether I'm a believer or not is besides the point. Ask the researcher why they research this if they don't read. Most of the believers in the Bible, most of the researchers in the Bible turn agnostic or atheist now. They're no longer believers. So ask them why they continue to do it. Why picking on Garfield? All the books you read come from people who you don't like, white folks, but you still use it when it supports your argument.
Look at the screen.
Well, if the source is a good source to use, I'm telling everybody this. I'm not worried about the personal comments and everything. It's proving that I'm touching a button. Come on the chat and let's have a conversation. Stop being in the chat like a little girl typing. I have something to say. You got all this talk, but you ran off the other day. You ran today. You ran tomorrow. You're still gonna run. I am saying that this group called Hebrew Israelites in North America, in Jamaica, in the Caribbean, in Africa, they are identity thieves. That's point blank, period.
The whole movement, the whole movement, it couldn't make its way over here with everybody else, all the Puritan, it couldn't make its way over.
Nope. Until somebody provide the proof, I don't believe y'all. You're faking the funk. It hurts to hear me say it, but it is what it is. I tell y'all are exiled Christians. This is why the only religion I'll join would be a Christian, because I myself am an exiled Christian, and I know what the religion it stands on. It stands on somebody that existed named Jesus that started a Christian movement. And if I become a Christian, you can't blame me, because it's actually something that really happened. For you to claim you descend from 2,800 years ago, come on, man, get out of here with that. That's foolishness. Get out of here with that. All of them, and it's one big flim flam, because it's all about money. Most of these dudes
suppose they what you saying? It's just giving people an identity. If they were converts and they were not even original, if they came from original light-skinned Jews and they converted to the faith, now some of them want to pick up that faith as messianics with Jesus. They just want to have the identity as Israel plus be Christian at the same time. New Testament and Old Testament together. They're just not original to Abraham. What's the beef with that? If they're converts.
Okay. If they're converts, again, as I said many a times, I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with a convert. If you're a convert, say you're a convert. But don't condemn other people and say they're fake. The people in Israel today, you call them fake when they fit more than anybody else. Tudor Parfit, y'all don't play that part in the video when he's saying that the people in Israel today are the true Jews. Why don't you agree with that? Because it don't fit you, because they're not the right color. And that's the problem. Mark Bell, I don't know what I'm talking about. That's why you need to click the link. See the link right there?
I'll put the link in here, Mark Bell. Come up here, please. Come up here. This is a good time to get them right now. I'm gonna give you a couple of seconds behind us. Hold on. Let me play a little bit of more to Pastor Kelly Hill. Fair use.
Are the white apologists, right? Are the European apologists? And the reason why I can say that is because they come with the same playbook, the same material, right? The same material that we saw 2 years ago are the same material that they're bringing forth today, right? So yeah, it's just been an evolution, fam, and this is just another thing that we'll just nip this in the bud and keep on moving.
Absolutely. And family, I located the short clip. So once that gets uploaded, I'll let you review it as well. So that way you can see exactly what was said in that clip, and how Garfield blatantly, how he lied, misrepresented the source, right? The actual source, and stating, of course, in I guess whatever videos he tried to do counter, saying that he was just reading the summary, but that's not how he presented the information in his debate.
All right, that's a good part. It's queued up at right there. Come on, Second Exodus. I don't know if you got what you got going on, but I said let me stop that right there. I'll get back to that. What you want to share with God? What you want to say to Garfield?
I want to say, if he was to be a Christian, what kind of Christian would he align himself with? Would he be a amillennial Christian who believes in evolution? Or would he be a literal dispensationalist Christian who believes that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob were actual people?
I'll say when that bridge comes out, cross it, bro.
Yeah, I understand. I mean,
I'll say this though. I'll say this. If I do become a Christian, I would definitely lean on my brother Maroon and Pastor Damon Richardson and a few others who I converse with all the time. But I definitely would lean on them as far as certain things if I have questions. But it's not that I would jump into a belief just for the sake it's a Christian belief. But I do like Mike Holloway. I think he's a non-denominational. I think I like that. I like that type of vibe.
Yes.
Because you're not beholden to anybody. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I'll rock with what Pastor Mike Holloway is doing. I appreciate what he's doing.
Right, and I'm thinking that I think the confusion is that
I'm talking about. I thought you came on here about some West African. We can't let that West African slide.
Oh, we're not going to let it slide. We're not.
Okay, go ahead. All right, go ahead. Mute myself. Go ahead. He said we're not going to let it slide. Then we can read Jordan. Thank you, Jordan, in the super chat. Don't let it slide, Second Exodus. We count on you. Go ahead.
So what I'm basically saying is that we see Christianity as a religion, right? I think our issue is that what we're saying is that Israelites, being a Jew, is ethnic. So there's a genetic component to that. And that's the difference between Christianity, which is purely religious, and a belief in a culture that is both ethno-religious. So now we're going to get to the West African part. My question for you is, and that's why I asked you if, these people in the Bible are literal to you, or, is it based on evolution? If you were to take the stance that it's a literal interpretation, that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob are real people and Israelites come from these people, is it possible that the Israelites would end up in a place called West Africa? And my question for you is, what exactly makes West Africans not Israelites, besides the religious component, like worshiping stones and rocks?
All right, you're familiar
He
with
going off that E1B1 thing to make them all spread all over the place like that?
Well, I'm not. I could get into that, but my question is, what makes West Africans Hamitic? Because I think now
West Africans are not Hamitic.
Exactly. That's why I wanted to ask the question about lineage and literal interpretation of the Bible. So, if West Africans are not Hamitic, what are they?
They are people who live in a culture. They live in an area where they had cultures and where they had different areas and villages and tribes and different people that had their own culture and did what they did. If you look at iron melting, let's look at iron melting for a second, and what the quote unquote Nigerians have brought into that, because Nigerians didn't exist before a certain time period as far as the name. But let's just use the term Nigerians. The era where they're from. We're talking about these people have been doing a lot of things with like the knock culture. You see a lot of things that they've done way back. A matter of fact, they have stuff that goes back like 9500 BC. But what I want to present right now to the people, if I could share my screen for one quick second, I don't know if my computer is working properly. Is this slide? These slides right here. I want to show something that my brother showed the other day on the presentation with the genetics. But before I do that, let me just answer your question. The West Africans are who they are. We have the sickle cell trait, which goes back 7,300 years or 7,300 BC, and that's where we come from. 1 in 10 African Americans have the sickle cell trait, which shows a direct connection to West Africa. Stop trying to tiptoe through the tule and be who we're not.
So is this evolution?
Through intermixing, we basically a lot of people lose a trait because of racial mixing and so forth. But at the end of the day, 1 in 10 Jamaicans, 1 in 10 Brazilians, Afro-Brazilians, 1 in 10 African Americans have the sickle cell trait, showing our West African signature. Stop calling West Africa Ham. It's not Ham. Ham is in your Bible.
That's fine.
Is in your Bible.
So my question is for you: is this evolution?
Is it evolution? No, I wouldn't say evolution. What I would say is that we have the opportunity to see a culture and try to research it more and more every day. There's different people coming. So what we can do is if we are in a position, ladies and gentlemen, if we are in a position to embrace cultures and do it the right way, why not do it? Why not learn about the cultures? But on the other hand, when you came over on the slave ship, you were kidnapped. You are now a new person. You are now intermingled with Angolans, with people from Benin, with people from Igbo land, with the Akan. You are intermingled. You can't really trace yourself to original spot unless you are some super researcher or something, or somebody's guiding you. But at the end of the day, we are those people. So you're a new person now. So let's be proud to be who we are. I'm a Jamaican who now is a US citizen. I'm a proud American. That's what I am. And I have to live in my reality. And my reality is making sure my family is good, making sure I'm good, I'm healthy, and treat people the way I want to be treated. That's my reality. My reality is also that racism, white supremacy exists. That's a reality that we have to deal with. So my point is, I'm not waiting for somebody to come and save me. I'm trying to build a world around myself to deal with the reality that I'm living in.
But you know the West Africans had to come from somewhere, right? I'm asking, where did they come from?
West Africans, where do you want them to come from?
No, where do they come from?
The West Africans, they come from, well, you could say they come from North Africa or Northeast Africa. You could say they come from East Africa.
They come from Northeast Africa, right? So are you saying now, I'm just asking a simple question. Where do the Northeast Africans come from? Did all humanity originate there, or how did that take place? Did people move out of Northeast Africa and they stayed?
Well, Africa is the home of, so far, the oldest bones that we find are in Africa. So at that right now, it's called the out of Africa theory.
Okay, that was pushed by evolutionists, right?
It doesn't matter who was pushed by what. It's about the bones. Where's the oldest bones found?
Currently, it's found that we know of is found in Ethiopia, Kush, or Abyssinia.
And we found another old bone in Morocco, right? 300,000 years ago. So Let me just say this. That has nothing to do with evolution. That has to do with the fact that they found bones and they dated it for that time period.
But then that's what I'm asking. Is there a pre-human existence, or did God make man out of the dust of the earth?
I don't know. I really don't know. I really
Peace,
don't
everybody. Know. Jesuit 93 here.
Oh, that's you, 93? Oh man.
No, yeah, I still got the thing. I was with Abu just trolling, because they call him a Jesuit. So I'm just waiting for my check in escrow because the Catholic Church, they sent me here. So anyway, let me stop playing. Now I had to ask a question. Peace, Second Exodus, and peace, Brother Maroon. Peace, Garfield. I had a question to ask. Since y'all talking about Pastor Kelly, did he ever address or give any indication that he knows that his interpretation of the Mundingo text is incorrect, or did he?
No. He said you're wrong.
Oh, okay. Well, would he be willing to? Can y'all get him here?
No, he's not. You see, that's the problem. They don't want people who challenge them. That's why I'm looked at as the enemy. Look at.
No, I wouldn't do him dirty. I just would read with him and say, "Hey, look, this
Tazarah is the only one that really the dude is stand out. I like that dude. Actually, does he have a channel? Does Tazarah have a channel?
Yeah, but he not trying to be a YouTuber. He just research.
Oh, okay.
But he probably would talk to you if you ask him.
Yeah, if there's an issue.
I think he in here right now.
Yeah, these are the type of people that want to talk. I want to get to the bottom of something, that will admit that they're wrong. Those are the type of people I want to talk to, not the people that come on and say, "Hey, I'm right all the time." Nah. Is 93 Israel? Yes, he is. You see the Palestinian flag? He is Israel.
Nah, this for Abu, because they be trying to say he's like a Jesuit agent. So I just went to the Catholic Church and they were, giving out checks to come talk to Hebrews. I'm joking, but nah. So my thing is, that needs to be addressed, because we can't let the pastor be in error if he's reading the text wrong. We can't let him go out there and do that if we got respect for him,
Hey, Barine, watch as I drop off. Everybody want to come on the panel.
Wait, hold on a minute. Let me just play a little bit more, Kelly. Whilst y'all two here, y'all can hear the charges. I think he had it queued up. I just stopped it because
I was watching. I was watching before.
Oh, you were? Okay. All right. I want you to hear this part right here. Fair use.
Okay.
and let me let you see exactly and hear exactly what transpired, and then I'll give you a refresher, and then we'll go ahead and deal with clearing up Equiano.
What you need to understand of these dark-skinned Jews is that their father, because if you want to talk about that they are Jews in Africa, the fathers were normally white men. The Lankada descendants, the Luso Africans, became as dark as native Africans, reckon themselves still as if they were white Portuguese. They hate to be called black and want the status of their white progenitors. And by the way, none of these people came over on slave ships. You can't tie them to a slave ship. You can't show me a slave ship any of those black Jews, so-called black Jews, came over on. They were fostering the slave trade. They worked out the deals with the African kings.
And so as you hear, family, you know, you hear and see the lie as he's going through it. You know, he blatantly lied. But of course, the video served to do exactly what the purpose behind it, to show all who's connected. And rightfully so, he made it clear that he did not write that presentation. He didn't put all that presentation together himself, that he was assisted by some of the other people that are coming against our community outside of the conscious community. So here we have Dr. Reggie from the conscious community who actually defended Equiano. I mean, defended him. But then, and he actually, and I'll post the link inside the comment section for you guys to see on your at your leisure. But he actually defended. He don't believe in the scriptures from, you know, but he do believe in the historical aspects in terms of, you know, Africa, you know, how we all the communities interacted with each other. He believes those things. And as you see him being fair, he made it clear that, you know, the agenda of Garfield, that in spite of that one breath, he says that Equiano honorable, but then at another breath contradicts that. And this is the playbook we've seen. You know, people giving the impression that, hey, you know what, we support the Bruise. We support you, Israel. Oh, guess what? We are Israel. And then they flip the script on us. You know, that's been a playbook. You know, anyone that want to start a new platform that go against Israel, or say that we the people of the book, one way or the other. If someone say we the people of the book, they go I was about to say platinum. They go you know, they go viral. You know, or if they want to do something like promote a conference or whatever the case may be, say something about our community. Why? Because we show up to defend as well. So let's go ahead and let me pick this thing apart again real quick, right? And I'm going to show you something addition that I didn't show, and I purposely did not share in video number 1, on why I already knew and already had my suspected that it wasn't just Garfield that was putting this thing together, that it was others' hands in it too. Why? Because some keywords and how it was purposely and deceptively presented. So here we go. Let's go and get into it. All right. And Cuz, feel free anytime you want to jump in, feel free to jump in.
Okay, Cuz. Yeah. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Cuz.
No, well, I was just going to add one quick thing. The reason why, you know, you see the attacks on Equiano, you have to understand it from a strategic perspective. Equiano poses a problem for anyone that's going to, you know, go around and say things like, you know, show me a slave that got off the ship and that was saying that he was from, you know, he's an Israelite or he's a Brew. Equiano's that dude, right? Like he's literally that dude that went through the slave trade. He documented, you know, being on the ships and all this other stuff, and at the end of the day, then traced it back to being Israel. And he's problematic because of a timeline, right? Because a lot of these, you know, either apologists or, you know, urban apologists, what they do is that they'll try to snap the chalk line. And what I mean by that is they'll try to start the timeline for us being black folks believing that we're Israel. They'll try to start that with with Cherry, or they'll try to start that in the maybe even the 1800s, because I've seen the goalposts kind of get moved right to the 1800s, whereas folks start saying things like, well, okay, well maybe Nat Turner, well maybe Vesey, okay, maybe those guys are included, and maybe that's where it started off, right? Equiano's problematic for you because Equiano comes before Turner, right? He comes before Vesey, right? So that's why he's problematic. From a strategic perspective, you have to get him off the board and you have to attack him. And that's what they're doing.
All right, Garfield, what do you think about what you heard so far?
Me first.
I don't. You want to go first? All right. I don't really agree with Pastor Kelly on that. On just the Israel channel thing, because we could look at other people's number. A lot of urban apologists not even touching this. And I don't want to say too much on that. From the gate, they weren't really heavy on touching that history, and that's for a reason. Now, I ain't going to say that other thing, but that's for a reason. But a lot of people that's against the Israelites, their channel's not jumping. Israel jumping right now. Anybody open up, even if we look at Pastor Kelly, I looked down and I was like, what? He was just at 6,000 the other day. He 4,000 and change. About 4,300 right now. That's good bit of growth real fast. He put nice videos together. People like his content. If you talk about Israel, you pro-Israel, people hungry, people searching, and people going to jump and follow your channel. People are supporting each other with this Israel thing, and they following each other more than these Christians. They killing it on the internet on the fact that they follow it in the wake of what the camp's been already doing. I'm talking about them regular messianics there. Come on, 93.
All right, so I got to go first because I ain't gonna be here all day. Basically, he said, I see that he had somebody else do that. Yeah, it's called having researchers, and I'm not the only person who's ever helped somebody. I know for a fact on the other side, there's people who get research from other Hebrews, and they stuff is on their website. There's nothing wrong with outsourcing to get research. That's a very intelligent thing to do. No man is an island. But here's the thing, though. We come to find out that his criticism, even though, yes, Garfield, while he was moving fast, he didn't do the best setup for the slide that he's critiquing. But in my video, I already pretty much put that in the suitcase about his interpretation. And I guess he's still standing on that. Maybe Pastor Kelly, with all respect, should reach out, not to me, but to another researcher. And maybe they could help him get a better interpretation of text. Maybe he can learn a bit about the Luso-Africans and whatnot. As far as Equiano,
but what did he say wrong? I'm sorry. I'm a little slow. I'm slow.
Let me tell you. So you see this thing right that you get on the screen. You see this this summary that I have. He thinks that I deliberately highlighted out the parts of the text and then wrote it on the side as if, oh, you can't see it right here, but this is what the text said. No, I was just summarizing, and he was saying that verbatim those words aren't there, therefore we're lying. He doesn't know that Portuguese and Luso-African is pretty much the same thing, and that's pretty much a summary. Because see, Maroon, remember when I was doing the videos in the summertime, I was doing like over 100-something slides, yo. I needed to write down what I wanted to say, because honestly, I used to forget. I would have so much, I'd be forgetting. So it's really consistent with how we did it in the summertime. He thinks we just trying to add in our own words, but those are the summary that I put on the side, and basically it's backed by a scholar in West African history. And his thing about black people hating themselves is unfounded because he's talking about the wrong population of people. So I would really like to have he said that summary didn't match the highlighted text. It's not supposed to be a word for word. It's meant for what I was literally wanted to say. Had I presented, I would have literally said that. And for Miss Yvette, if you ever want to come on and ask me how I came to that methodology, I'll tell you. But it's in a video that I did on Faithful Channel. What's the name of it? The Munding. Pastor Kelly and the Mundingos. If y'all want to see how I came to that methodology, just go there. But yeah, just because you see something on the side doesn't mean it's supposed to be a word for word thing. It's just really a script that I'm reading.
Read that.
You guys just allowed to admit it. Hold on, wait. That guy's a liar too.
No. Don't respond to him.
Oh yeah, he's a liar.
He's the biggest troll. He's scared to come on here.
He got debunked on 115 pounds of weed because I seen him in the comment section. He got debunked, so he's a liar. If you want to play the liar game, but just in short, as far as Equiano, we got to give him respect, even if we don't like his method. Garfield even said he's the reason that people like him made it to this country. Equiano might have said things at the time that we don't agree with completely, but we cannot attack that brother. He was a Christian man, and he did what he had to do for black people. So we cannot come at him like that. But as far as Dr. Kelly, you either need to come talk to us, or I don't. After I did my video, I just he's in a suitcase, really. I mean, I just carry him to Garfield, New York. So
All
that's
right.
it.
Anyway,
tell him come see me, or Garfield.
Yeah.
That's it.
Hey, Maroon, I'm gonna jump off. Everybody gonna jump on after me because you know they hate Garfield.
I gotta go.
Okay, yeah. I'm gonna let them jump on you. I'll let you know what they say because we gotta hear this thing out.
But Maroon, anybody who got smoked for this slide,
you got some time. You got some time. Or you got to jump off 293.
I gotta go to the gig. But anybody who got smoked for this slide, I refer them to my video or come see me, Pastor Kelly. Come see Garfield or come see me, or it's over. It's over. It's over.
You see, the hide and seek scholarship don't work, man. The hide and seek scholarship don't work. I'm telling you.
Don't worry, somebody gonna drop a video. Somebody gonna drop a video.
That's what they do. They drop videos. They can't face. Come face. Look at Tazara. Tazara jumped on the panel, and the brother was like, "I'm coming. I'm here. It don't matter what y'all say. I'm here." Love and respect that brother, man. Big up to that. I don't know how he rocked with Dante, and he had that energy.
No, Dante jumped on that day too. That was the day I left. Went to get the ticket. I left you on that day. Then Dante Taz, everybody, a few people was on.
Dante is you know what Dante did, bro? He come off the panel, then he's in the chat talking the whole time. You see, that's what I don't like. If you got something to say, jump on the panel. We was very cordial. We never argued.
It
was. As much as he tried to bait me and talk all that junk, I mean, I ain't fall for none of the tricks. And he got beat up.
And by the way, he talking about people helping with research. Didn't he go? He went and got another middle-aged man. Let me not say that. He went and got another brother to do all the talking for him in the video. What? But we nobody drugged Benai Israel in there.
It's
nobody.
on YouTube.
Yes, they drop videos because it's on YouTube. But you a scholar. I don't know if he mean that for me, but I can tell you, Peter Mark and Horte de Silva Horta, they're scholars with multiple books, and they know what they're talking about. So maybe we can get them on. And any criticism of me on the Luso Africans, you can direct them to them, player. But yeah, he wouldn't got another fella to jump in this. But I think it's good because Bareen, before they were always saying like, we're not gonna address these guys. They're crafty counsel. We got them all talking now, so we doing something right.
No, talking is good. No matter what, even like I said, conversation with Taz, them jumping on the other day, it wasn't so much arguing back and forth. At least it was some talking, trying to figure this thing out. You 93, one last thing before you get out of here. Are you of the impression that Israelites were in West Africa?
Oh yeah, they most certainly were in West Africa.
What about anybody on the slave ships? Anybody, or you don't see them at all?
I respect Garfield's challenge to say that because they were selling people, but it's not completely impossible. But that they wouldn't comprise the bulk of us. I'm sorry, they wouldn't make most of us. But anybody.
What about Portugal and Spain? Them black folk were rulers. They were selling people. They were businessmen. They were merchants, or they were people that were.
They was getting it in. They got kicked out because of their beliefs. If anybody tried to say they kicked them out because they was black, well, then why was they importing black people into Portugal at the same time and kept them there? There's Portuguese people in Africa right now. There's people in Angola and all them regions.
So skin color had nothing to do with nothing.
No, they kicked them out. They kicked the white ones out too. If they admit that the white ones, there's two of them, and the white ones came to Africa to mix, the white ones got kicked out and tried to hide too. So it was about being a heretic. They was killing them white folks. I was gonna say another word, but no. So I can't say it's impossible. But if anybody's saying, "Oh, that's the bulk of us," no. But if you can do your own research, I bet you maybe one of y'all probably could end up being a descendant. But on the large, like how Garfield's saying, I think he mean majority. Basically, I wouldn't say most of us.
93. You're playing games, bro. I have not found any evidence of any Jew coming over on a slave ship.
Well, be careful how you say that, because maybe they come here as a slave.
Stop. I don't have no evidence of any slave coming over on a slave ship saying that they are Hebrew, Jew, or Israel. It's a figment of this is a 19th century group that was invented, bro. We need to stop playing games with them. This is a money grab at this point. This guy here, this is just the 1920s all rehashed. This is all.
So you think they're just picking up from Cherry and the rest of them, and they're trying to push it back and and connect to an older date?
It's the Asiatic stuff again. Come on, we not Asiatics, bro. We Western Central Africans. Deal with it. and stop calling them Hamites. They're not Hamites. They ain't got nothing to do with your Bible.
Yeah, the anthropologists ain't talking about nothing about Noah. They ain't thinking about none of that Noah, Ham, Jet. They ain't thinking about none of that when they doing this other stuff. All right, anything else? I'm gonna play some more of that. Oh, 93, you want to, not 93, second X's, you want to say something 93 or Garfield before they jump off?
Yeah, real quick, because I got to hit the road like bird.
Yeah, I would like for them to talk about Matthias de Souza, who was the first African American from the West Indies, who was an indentured servant, was also recognized as Catholic, but descendant of a Portuguese Jew, who was also called a mulatto.
We talked about this.
I thought you brought him up the other day.
I don't know him. Can you give me the name? Give me the name, sir.
Matthias de Souza.
Matthias de Souza. So is it Mathias? Matthias?
Yes.
Like
D Souza. Sousa, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you very much. So you said he was a descendant and a mulatto, right?
Yes, he was a mulatto based on having a Portuguese father and having an African mother.
That's consistent with history. Yep.
So, but you bear witness, if it's from the father, second Exodus, you bear witness that if his father was a Jew, if his father was Hebrew, his father wasn't the black one was the mother.
That's what happened.
Was the father a slave?
In this case, no, he was an indentured servant.
So what are we talking about? Come on, man. Let's get out of here. I'm out of here, man. We talked about this already, bro. Remember that.
I'll look him up, but I've heard of a lot of them. There's another De Souza, Felix De Souza. I think he was an Afro-Brazilian, one of the quote unquote greatest slave traders in Ouida.
Yeah.
So you had them Luso Africans. We just said that. Yeah, they were selling slaves.
Well, let's take a look at that and see what the sources have to say.
Okay, Matthias de Souza. I got to do this real quick because I guess.
Hey, listen, I'm gonna jump off so that these people could jump on.
All right. Appreciate it.
Okay, hold on. Let me look at him real quick. Matthias de Souza. Can you share your screen or something?
No. I'll take this off. I'll take this one off right here. If you want to put yours up, you on a laptop, right?
Yeah. Can he share screen? I just show me this and then I'll look at it and I'm gonna hop off.
Yeah, sure. Let's see. Let me go here.
Plumber Garfield spoke a little bit on that first video. He said he came in listening to it. For those that came in after, I'll play a little bit more, Kelly, and I'll go back and play that, and y'all tell me what y'all.
Hold on. Do that. Can you do that afterwards? Because after he showed me the.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah.
Okay, because
I'm waiting for you. I'm waiting for y'all too.
I got it up, but I don't want to. I'm not sharing because I ain't trying to stay here. I'm trying to shut my computer.
Oh, okay. I got you.
There you go, brother.
Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see your screen.
Okay, let me switch over here. And can you see that?
Let me look at your screen. I see Zoom.
Oh, you see Zoom?
Yeah, just say Zoom. Click open Zoom meetings.
Oh, okay. Let me see. It's probably better if you share it. I dropped the link in the chat.
Oh man, I'm really trying to go, man. I'm trying to see if I can pre-order this PS5 before I get to the. I got.
Not that PS5. They serious about that.
I'm sorry, man.
It's all good.
I can read it, but I can't share it. I have it up here. He was.
Okay.
It said Matthias de Souza was the first Black Marylander of African and Portuguese descent of 9 indentured servants brought to Maryland by Jesuit missionaries and was on the Ark when Lord Baltimore's expedition arrived in St. Mary's River. So I'm looking. Is there any part that says he was a Jew explicitly?
Yeah.
I got two things. I got Black Past and I got some other thing. HMBD.org.
Yeah, if you research that, if you look into it and click on it, it'll pull it up and it'll talk about his history.
Okay, let me look for that. That'd be interesting. So he came here as an indentured. So you saying this is a possibility, an answer to Garfield, right?
Yeah, on a lot of things we've been discussing here.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll look for Mr. De Souza. That's definitely a Portuguese name. That's dope. I appreciate you, man. Hopefully we can. Oh, you got a video too. I'm gonna look for it.
Yeah, that's 18 minutes long, but I'll play some of it. You got a timestamp on that?
I'm gonna screenshot this. I just screenshotted your screen so I can look at the video.
All right, bro. We appreciate it.
At Safari 2. Thank you very much, y'all.
All right, man.
Absolutely.
All right.
Second Exodus. I could. You got a timestamp on this right here?
I don't have a timestamp on it, but
I can. I was actually looking for the article.
No,
and they
because this is
actually
a
wrote, yeah, but you can skip some of that.
That's what I'm saying. If I don't know, you know, I don't know where to go to on this here.
Right. Let me see if I can pull it up on my end.
Was the first black Marylander of African and Portuguese descent. He was one of 9 indentured servants brought to Maryland by Jesuit missionaries and was on the ark when Lord Baltimore's expedition arrived in the St. Mary's River in 1634. His indentured finished by 1638 and he became a mariner and fur trader. In 1641, he commanded a trading.
Can y'all hear that type of one? If y'all can hear that, oh, it's too low. I'll just jump back to the other video.
Indians. And in 1642, sailed as master of a ketch belonging to the provincial secretary John Luger. De Sousa departed and returned to this river many times. He anchored near here and walked to Luger's manor house at St. John's. While living there, he served in the 1642 Legislative Assembly of Freemen.
All right, my bad. They said it's too low. All right, I got to dead that video then. They said that was too low. Let me hit the stop sharing. No, not that one. All right, I'm gonna go back to this right here. I'm gonna slide this back for a little because a lot of people came in afterward. This is Plummer send this to me right here. I'm gonna play this, y'all fair use.
Minutes of this video.
I'm looking for the timestamp also.
Man. The Israelite school at UPK been teaching the truth since 1969, and I'm gonna show you today. Get me in Joel, where they said they sold us to the Greeks. Joel chapter 3, man. I'm gonna show you all this article right here. You hold on. Read this article here for me, huh? Yeah, I'm gonna show you where you're gonna start to read from.
That's right. I'm over here with John.
Hold this go like this. You're gonna read from right here. The House of Representatives. You see it? No sweat. Let's go this. The House of Representatives. Right there. All right? Read. The House. This is an article that a brother wrote documenting that the Africans are apologizing for their role in slavery to the blacks in America. What is that telling you? That they sold us to the white man. You all been gamed up thinking we African, and some white man went to Africa and stole us. That's a damn lie. The Ghanaians, the Nigerians, the Senegalese, the Cameroonians, them damn the filthy Ethiopians sold blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians to the white man in slavery, man. Read. Go ahead.
Many West African nations and tribes have issued apologies for their role in the transatlantic slave trade.
Read that again for all you Pan-African, I'm Africa, oh Mama Africa people, man, that think you some damn African. The Africans sold you into slavery, and right now they are apologizing for their role. Read it again.
Many West African nations and tribes have issued apologies.
Have issued what?
Apologies.
Have issued what?
Apologies.
You're only going to apologize if you do something wrong. And what them Africans did to black people was wrong. Was 400 years of a crime that they benefited. They got paid for each black man they sold into slavery. And you gonna come up here and tell me about Christ Rastafari? Damn the Ethiopians, man. Damn you Africans. And you are going to serve slavery under a black man called Jesus Christ. Read.
Hey,
in 1999, President of Benin, a neighbor of Nigeria, apologized for his nation's role in slavery.
Yo, then y'all will never hear that. The American government will never put that on CNN. T.D. Jakes and Creflo Dollar and Louis Farrakhan ain't gonna never tell you that the Africans sold you into
It's
slavery.
very heartbreaking when I see brothers from these camps behave this way. They are repeating the same errors our ancestors made, which contributed to the transatlantic slave trade. The brother in the video read an article which stated that the leaders in some tribes in Ghana and Benin apologized for their role in the transatlantic slave trade. This is true, but we have to pause to find out why they apologized. There is a sign posted at the Cape Coast in Elmina Castle from the chiefs and leaders in Ghana that reads, "In everlasting memory to the anguish of our ancestors, may those who died rest in peace. May those who return find their root. May humanity never again perpetuate such injustice against humanity. We the living vow to uphold this." Because of not knowing the real details behind this apology, you have misinformed statements and wrong conclusions drawn by the author of the article that the brother in the video was reading. We have to be careful. We cannot read materials from Google and run off with it. The bare bones information we know of the transatlantic slave trade is that, number one, some African people sold fellow Africans to non-Africans for personal gains. This is false. Hamitic Africans did not sell fellow Hamitic Africans into slavery, or did they sell their family members into slavery, like it was portrayed in the opening scene in the film Amistad, where a family sold a fellow family member into slavery. That is complete falsehood. Nowhere in African history did Hamitic Africans sell family or relatives into slavery. Number two, some Hamitic Africans sold Negroes or Hebrews for personal gains. This is half truth. It is not only Hamitic Africans, but also Negroes, Hebrews, also sold fellow Negroes or Hebrews into slavery as well. Therefore, the correct statement about the transatlantic slave trade should then be Hamitic Africans and some Hebrews sold Hebrews to non-Africans for personal gains, or Africans and some Hebrews sold Hebrews to non-Africans for personal gains. Or we can word it further. Africans and some Negroes sold Negroes to non-Africans for personal gain. My point is, Hebrews also sold fellow Hebrews as slaves for personal gain. This is fact. The strip of land in West Africa that was once called the Slave Coast stretched from the Volta River in Ghana through Togo, modern-day Benin, which was called Dahomey, and Nigeria. These four countries that now occupy this stretch of land was one territory before the Europeans divided the African continent to define their trade zones in 1844. The result is the current Africa as most people know it today. However, Evenyigba, Hebrew land, was the name of this strip of land that now house these four countries. The people that occupied this stretch of land were called Eves, Hebrews, or Eveville, Hebrew people. Because my brother mentioned Benin, let us focus on Benin. Let us focus on Dahomey. The people of Dahomey are from the tribe of Dan, modern-day Benin. An in-depth knowledge of their oral history, knowledge of their culture and tradition compares to information in the Torah. Their landmarks and city names agree with similar names in the Torah as well. The name Dahomey is actually a compound name. Da is the name of their ancestor and Home means home. When you put together, you get the home of Dan, specifically the home of the tribe of Dan. When you watch my video on the 12 tribes chart, you will get more information about the tribe of Dan. The link is going to be in the description box. Those camps who shout on these streets, we are Hebrew Israelites and not Africans. The Africans sold us into slavery and we have no relationship with them. For your information, the majority of the victims of the transatlantic slave trade met their fate at the hands of fellow Hebrews. Hebrew on Hebrew crime. Do not be surprised. Do not think it's unheard of. We have the same atrocity documented in the Torah when Joseph was sold by his own brothers. This was repeated again when Hebrews in Africa sold their brothers as slaves to the West. And now we have some Hebrew Israelites from these camps in the West repeating the same atrocity, shouting, damn the Nigerians, damn Ghanaians, damn the Benins, not realizing they're damning their own Hebrew brothers. Don't forget, the majority of the Hebrews are in Africa, and our ancestors played a big role in selling fellow Hebrews into captivity.
All right, Second Exodus, you heard what he said, right?
I heard what he said.
Now, my question is how do he know the amount of Hebrews in West Africa? That's how come this is so important. That's how come I said even when we go with Negro land and all of that stuff, all the Judah, all of that stuff, who did what, all of that stuff is important because how would he know to make that statement? Somebody who was that? Somebody else in here in the comment section, like he just talking, prove it, let him say that. You see that what he's saying? You look at the screen.
Yeah, that's he's gonna have to
do you agree? So by watching this video, you believe because you just want to believe? How do we know that Hebrews sold Hebrews and this is not what the Europeans were calling Negroes later on? Is that a fair question, y'all, or Berean hating? Is that a fair question?
No, it's a fair question. I've actually seen some of his, for context sake.
I never know. Plumber said, matter of fact, here, hold on. Plumber ready. Go ahead. He the one sent me the video. Go ahead.
Yeah.
All right. Well, up next said he lives there. I guess that's why he's saying that. Come on, Plumber. You the one sent me this video, I think, right?
Yeah, yes, sir. How you doing, Berean?
Good. What's up with you?
Shalom up next. Yeah, I sent you the video because the last time when Garfield was on, he was trying to make it see, and this is the problem that we keep having, not with just like Garfield, but with ourselves as Israelites, as people. When we see it happening in our own communities every day, we've seen it with Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Nat Turner. We for some reason, we keep on thinking and acting like, Hebrew wouldn't sell another Hebrew or Israelite. So that's how Garfield was playing it the last time he was on. He was like, if the Dahomey, that means they had to been Jews too. And then, that means they was the worst Jews of all. But the man just told you that Dahomey was a Hebrew tribe. And so he's saying this because this man is from the Ewe people, and they are related to the Dahomey. And there's other videos he got where he shows how they were all Yoruba people at one time. They called them Yoruba because of where they lived at. The Europeans called them that, and then they end up, but each place, they had their own little sections, just like in the Bible. This one comes from that tribe, but it's all Israel. So this is what he talks about, and they broke up. And Dahomey is one of those tribes. Like he showed in the video, Da is the name of the tribe, and Home is saying, the home of Dan. This guy talks about the Gadonwe people. The Gadonwe is Gad and Dan, and they had come together. But this is their history. And there's other videos he got too, where he actually shows the written, the stuff that was written that proves these things too by other Africans. So that's the problem. These brothers don't want to go into this. They just want to deal with these sources of the Spanish Jews and all that, which is cool. That's good. But there's a rich history right over there on the continent that coincides with all this stuff that we're saying. But it's just unfair, and it's not actually proper to come on here and try to say, because that's the problem we have. Oh, if he would he's the homie. Couldn't have been Jews because they did this to themselves. He's telling y'all they did. And we see this happening over and over again. I mean, we see Garfield come up here, and like I said, I went on his page. He got hours and hours and hours and hours and hours upon hours of just banging on black folk. So we see this kind of activity amongst ourselves. We can go to our neighborhoods, and it's the black people that's killing other black people. This is something that we've done, obviously, even way back then. So that's why I wanted to share the video with you, because and that's why I wanted Garfield to really answer to it. The Home is a Hebrew people, according to this guy. And I know the guy said they're just talking, we just believing. But like I said, you can go on the man's page, his name right there on top of the video up there. You can go to his page. He got videos showing the history. And they got an oral history that's been passed down from generation to generation for a millennia.
So let me ask you a question. Plummer. In your opinion, there's enough evidence that Israelites alone have brought out, Dante, Benaiah, Israel, Pastor Kelly, and Tayu and everybody, that they brought out to at least warrant a good investigation into this, not to look at it as a joke or just folklore or just a conspiracy theory, that enough evidence have come out?
Yeah, there's evidence.
You've been around, because you've been around listening for a few years. You've been listening. You've been online seeing stuff. What do you think? What's your personal opinion on that?
The evidence is overwhelming. Yeah, maybe.
All right, somebody type a. Do me a favor. Anybody type a 1. He said, he didn't even say, just at least warrant it. So he said overwhelming. Type of 1 if you believe it's overwhelming. Type of 2, at least there's something out there. Something need to be looked at and stop playing crazy, because some folk could be at this point, and some people could be at this point playing crazy, and they could be playing crazy for a reason.
Yeah,
but go ahead.
I agree with. I think it happened on both fronts, because when you go back into that history, the English had what they called over there in Europe. They had what they called 100 Years' War. Yeah. So and during that time, it was a big ethnic cleansing going on. And a lot of them, like, Second Exodus got up here and talked about Matthias DeSeo, the Sephardic Jew, being an indentured servant. A lot of those Jews from France, Spain, Portugal, England that ran into Europe, they came over here as indentured servants. Ireland, Wales, all of them.
Yes.
They came over here, but they were Jews. They were crypto Jews.
Yes.
And this is what I'm saying. So we got all this evidence. And it was a big, and this all took place. Now you got to think the transatlantic slave trade took place during this same time. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
It took place during the same time. These things are going on at the same time. It's a big ethnic cleansing. It's a race for America. It's about getting some money. And they're bringing over what they're calling criminals, the Jacobites. Those are Sephardic Jews. Those Jacobites was Jews, Sephardic Jews, bringing them people over here as criminals. They for punishment, indentured servants, and all this is going on at the same time. It didn't happen sporadically. This is all going. So really, what you got is like a kind of like a world war going on at this time, in my estimation. When you look at all of it and you start trying to piece it all together, it's all happening together. And and one more thing, Maroon.
Go ahead.
Not only all the evidence that we pulling out from all different places, but you got these brothers with this DNA.
On top of the history talk.
Yeah. And even I'm not even talking about E1B1A. I'm talking about brothers their DNA is popping up in these same places that these Jews was in.
Okay.
And that's just not coincidence. So, it's,
all right.
it's overwhelming.
All right. What do you think? What do you think on Second Exodus? You wanted to say something?
Yeah, I wanted to say that I found the time marker, and I agree with Jermaine about these can't be coincidences, because we look at Askia Muhammad, and in 1493 he expelled all the Jews, saying if they don't convert to Islam, they'll be expelled or killed. So there was that situation that was taking place in the Mali Empire as well.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a lot of stuff going on during that time around 1492.
All right, I'm gonna play some of this video. I'm gonna finish playing Pastor Kelly, some of Pastor Kelly, and then you said you got a timestamp.
Yes, 6 minutes and 30 seconds.
All right, and I gotta play this because it's gonna take me a minute to set that up.
Hey, family, that's why it's great. It's great to be in this time that we're living in. It's really it's great in spite of all what's going on with the pandemic. We are living in a great time. You know, we're seeing things being confirmed biblically, you know, as far as in terms of the prophecies. And as Benea pointed out, we're also having information that was not available to us, to our grandmothers and great grandmothers at one time, and great grandfathers at one time. But now we're able to have access to that same information. You know, the Most High is allowing our generation, this generation, to actually witness and also be part of this awakening that we see taking place today. So Equiano is an important figure that we cannot allow anyone to disregard. Really, don't allow anyone to cause you to disregard any part of our history, regardless of how you may feel about certain things as an individual. Like, hey, you know what? I don't see that as being as significant as this over here. Guess what? It's all a piece in the puzzle. It's all a piece in the puzzle. And that's why they are going hard to try to discredit whatever they can, you know, like the church in Savannah, right? Guess what? That's a major piece, because that church, literally, as Benea pointed out, it really shatters what has been taught about the history of the Black church. It shatters that. So again, this is important for you guys not to disregard. Do not allow anyone to have you disregard any portion of our history, because guess what? Whether you may think it's old or you're tired of hearing it over and over again, guess what? It's still important history. And there's a reason why Moses was instructed by the Most High to rehearse a situation into Joshua's ears, so that way he wouldn't forget. And we know we learned that the same thing was rehearsed in all the kings, all the leaders of Israel ear. And that's the Most High is going to set us up for victory, avenge us and set us up for victory. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started here. Moderators, you guys already know what to do if there's any trolls. Over here, we don't play that like Living Color. Homie don't play that.
All right, I don't know. I don't know if anybody, I don't know about this part that's coming up right here. Let me go back to this right here. Listen to this. It baffles me that people that God says after that, all right, up the scholar, the made-up scholar, in order to win an argument on the internet, cognitive dissonance is real. Listen, I'm looking at the Alton, you've been around, I'm looking at the overall thing. Alton, you've been around, you've had a YouTube channel, what goes 6, 7, a couple of years. You've been involved in this thing. Do you think, Alton, in your mind that all of this is just all crazy nonsense? You could say it, they already hate you. All crazy nonsense, nothing at all is making sense? Especially in light of the foolishness, or do you think this is just a perfect storm? Let me give him some of this. Let me give him some of this right here. I know Alton ain't part of this right here, but let me just show a little bit of the zoo. Because the zoo mixed with some folk, maybe identity crisis or whatever. You may not say it's because of the information that Pastor Kelly and Dante and all of them putting out. Maybe because it's not that. Maybe it's something else. Let me just put a little bit of this before I even get to that right there. Not that one right there. Let me play a little bit of this right here, especially with this stuff going on right here, Alton. Especially with some of this stuff going on right here.
What I'm telling you is just as he's physically standing here, knowing what's coming. God's saying, can you physically and spiritually.
Oh, some of y'all may not like what y'all getting ready to see. This pastor done spit in his hand and getting ready to rub it in this guy's eyes. Y'all remember that story of Jesus in the Bible. This is the church right here. This the church right here. There's something going on right here. There's something going on right, especially in light of this stuff right here, Alton. That's when I start saying the perfect storm. Information like this and these videos coming out and people talking about awakening, and you are the people doing stuff like this.
And emotionally be able to stand. When getting the vision or receiving it might get nasty. I'm going to say it in a point just like that. Receiving vision from God might get nasty. You mean, God, I just bought, in crazy faith, I just bought my dream car. And now you're going to ask me to sell it back and ride in the hoopty again? Yeah, because the vision I'm about to give you, it might get nasty. And do you hear and see the responses of?
He hawked and spit in his hand and wiped it around. Jesus, at least Jesus mixed it with the dirt and made mud, a little mud puddle and put it on his eye. He spit in his hand, mixed it around, and put it on this guy's eyes and wiped it all over his. That's what y'all just saw right there. Matter of fact, let me help you out again. Let me help you out again right here. Then I'm gonna show you the pastor got the woman taking off their clothes and giving them a bath. Perfect storm. Perfect storm. Fair use.
God, I just bought, in crazy faith, I just bought my dream car. And now you're going to ask me to sell it back and ride in the hoopty again? Yeah, because the vision I'm about to give you, it might get nasty. And do you hear and see the responses of the people? What I'm telling you is how you just reacted is how the people in your life will react when God is doing what it takes for the miracle. What are you saying? This man was blind, and what he was trying to do with this man is give him his DNA.
Now, y'all heard that hawk. Y'all saw that, right? Y'all saw that, right? Now it could have been, it's just an illustration. A lot of times in church, y'all use illustrations. I'm gonna put the link in there so you can share what you just said, Pastor Green, about that. That's interesting with that homie thing, because I got, people they're gonna hit that, talk about where that stuff come from. I'm gonna put that in there, but y'all saw that. Y'all saw that. This is so people are looking at that, and then they're hearing all this other stuff. And matter of fact, let me play the other girl. Let me play the white magic with the prophets in line at church. And you got other people out trying to be out here, trying to share, trying to teach, trying to do certain things, and you got other people attempting to give an alternative. This might be an alternative to some of this Christianity stuff. Come on, Pastor Green. I'm muting myself.
Yeah, peace and blessings. I'm not going to stay on long, but I was just looking at the etymology of this word, the homemade. And basically, this is a brother named Dakando or Dakadando or something. He's there in that
That's
area.
the guy in the video? That's the guy in the video name?
No, not the guy in the video, but this is the tradition of how the homemade gets his name.
Okay, go ahead.
And this guy is asking the local chiefs for land in this area that would become the homemade. So they give him a little piece of land, but he wants some more. So he goes to this other chief. This chief, his name is Dan. The name of the chief is Dan. And
the one that was approached. Correct. Go ahead.
He asked Dan for some land, and Dan pretty much insulted him, saying, should I open my belly and allow you to live inside of my belly? And so based on that incident, the brother got offended and killed him and took the land. And so this is where they get the homie, meaning belly of Dan, based on this incident. And so that what the brother was sharing, just saying that it
So
means
what does that make
home
you
of Dan.
feel?
That's a little bit,
What
that's
does
not
that
what the
make you
history.
feel like when you hear statements like that? Like he took one thing and just made it a whole different thing. What how you feel about that? That make you feel like an agenda's being pushed, people not really doing research, is confirmation bias. The first thing they hear, they want to how do you feel about that? What do you think about that? What do you thought?
It could be that. I mean, some people, they really are, really into this thing, and so they'll just, put stuff out there, uh, expecting people to not go back and just read. I mean, you can just pull up etymology of Dahomey, and you'll get everything you need. So I,
From
I
the
don't know that
years,
gentleman. I don't know him. I don't know what his motives was, but some people are really heavily invested in it, so they'll just put things out there, and
Dante asking for
people
that
will run
source
with
you
it.
just Dante asking for that source you just, or were you talking about?
Give me just a second, and let me pull this up.
Okay,
Well, no,
well I'll
I can't
see.
even pull it up because I'm on my phone. If you
Oh, you're
can
not in the
actually just
house?
Google, you can type in your Google search etymology of Dahomey, and you can follow those links there, and it'll pull up the name and the origin and the history, the etymology, and one of the etymologies of Dahomey means belly of the snake. So
Yeah,
there,
that snake
there's
again.
differences there, but again, I don't really have a dog in this fight. If these people want to be Israelites, be Israelites. But let's not just let's
Make
not
up
just
stuff.
put stuff out there and expect people not to go back and dig into it and see what's really true and accurate.
You said, and when we had you on before, you said you weren't sure anything about them being on slave ships or not, as far as the argument Garfield was making. You believed somewhere in West Africa, or you were never really concerned as a believer to even look that far into it.
Yeah, I'm again. That's it. I don't have a dog in the fight. It don't bother me if there was Israelites on the slave ships. It's a possibility. I'm not going to say that I wasn't there, so I can't just blatantly say, well, there was absolutely none. But again, this not my fight. If they Israelites, be Israelites.
I got you. Plumber said that he said that guy do even have a video on that whole belly of the snake thing that you were mentioning also.
Yeah, that's good. I'm not up here as one that's saying, that they are not Israelites or nothing like that. I think everybody should go back and read and study and look into this thing if that's really what they're interested in.
If they
But
wanted
don't
to,
just put
okay.
out make believe stuff and expect everybody to just believe it. They put that same claim against us in the church, saying y'all been ruling for all this time, and y'all been lying, and we up next, and y'all don't know the truth.
You don't
So
have to lie. You don't
obviously
have
they
to lie. If
studying.
God, the awakenings of God, you ain't got to lie. Bring the truth out. God's about truth. That's what you're saying. And well,
Yeah,
that's my
yeah, just
words, I guess.
yeah, just dig into it, and let the truth fall where it is. We don't have to make anything up. We don't have to be liars or anything like that. Just follow what the evidence says. So and for Dante, big ups, man. Keep doing what you're doing, brother. I don't subscribe to Hebrew Israelites, but I'm not gonna knock you for doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing, man.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you for sharing. Fair use. I'm gonna play some of this right here. Come on, Alton. Come on, Alton.
Wow. This is crazy. Charlie.
All right, you said 1 minute. You said 1 minute. 6 seconds.
6 minutes and 29 seconds.
Say it. I'm sorry. Say one. Say it again.
The 6 minute mark and 29 seconds.
All right, hold on. All right, fair use. Let me try to get to that right now.
made ocean spanning navigation feasible.
Oh, but oh yeah, the video was low though.
Tools are integral to the rich Judaic contribution to astronomical Jewish Encyclopedia, Maryland. Maryland, one of the 13 original states of the American Union. The history of the Jews in Maryland may be divided into 3 periods. Record is found of one Matthias de Sousa as early as 1639.
We don't play that over here. So, you know, if you see anyone being rude, disrespectful, just straight up obnoxious, not disagreeing, because it's okay to disagree. That's not the issue. But if they're being disrespectful, that's a whole nother thing that we just don't tolerate. So let's make sure that our communication is a reflection of we being the people who are called to be a light into all the other nations. All right. So let me share with you real quick on your screen. Right. You guys probably remember this. This is the actual quote that Garfield read. He didn't say it was a source. He pointed over to here. Right. And went right into this as if this is what this says. But nevertheless, the Lancado descendants, Luso-Africans, become as dark as Native Africans, reckon themselves still as if they were white Portuguese. They hate to be called black and want the status of their white progenitors. See, this is alarming on a number of different levels, especially when you read the actual source and know that this is nowhere in the source, right? And we're going to do this one more time real quick, right? I'm not here to try to get into the Portuguese and who's who. That's when I did the initial video, I made it clear it's not about that. It's about calling out how these guys have a tendency of poorly using sources or interpolating sources, you know, as Benir pointed out, pushing the goalposts, moving the goalposts. You know,
all right, y'all heard what he said. It's the sources thing coming up too. So we're hearing it from both sides. Somebody's poorly using the source. He misunderstands the source. He didn't read the full source. The same thing we're hearing on this side also.
Hey, you know what? Let me see your DNA. Do you have any DNA saying that you this right here, that you connected to Israel? Then you show you show that. Oh well, DNA doesn't matter. You know, it show me what tribe you connected to. Oh well, you know what, that tribe doesn't matter. You know, hey, well, show me other proof that you have. Oh, well, you know what? That doesn't matter. See, family, the goalpost is going to always be moved, especially when you're dealing with people that just purposely want to be disagreeable. Right. All right. But anyway,
hey,
go ahead.
Just to kind of land back on what you just said. So just something real quick. So as a researcher, you know, this is just something that I learned as I researched and started looking through this, you know, reference after reference after reference after reference after reference, right? When you're researching brews back, you know, from the 1800s, 1700s, you know, whatever date, right? The thing that people fail to do, and I see them make this mistake over and over again, is whenever you're researching, when you're looking at that piece of information, you have to figure out which brews are they talking to, are they referring to? The example that comes to mind for me is a board game, right? You have to figure out who's on the board, right? So when we start talking about Africa, we start talking about Portuguese, we have to figure out who's on the board. Who can this be, right? You look at things like date, like I remember like one of the references they pointed out, it had an early 1400 date. That's before 1492. That's before King John II kicked out the brews. So that's before most of those Lancados was over there, right? So that means that possibly they're referring to a different type of Portuguese people, right? They could be referring to the white Portuguese. They could be, you know, you have to figure out who's on the board, right? And that's one of the things that I've seen people fail to do over and over again when they go through these references, and then they try to make these assumptions, because I've kind of listened to some of the information in the background where they'll say, well, these are the Lancados, these are the Portuguese. You have to prove it, and this is the funny part, because when we start telling people, hey, look at the old references, and we try to make it easy because we try to find those references where everything is in that, in one place, where you don't have to go, pull up this reference, hold your thumb on this page, and then go over to another reference and try to put the pieces together. We try to get references that are all inclusive, right? They mention the bruise right there. There's no ambiguity about that, and they mention the color right there. There's no ambiguity about that, right? And these are the references that you see in the 1700s, 1800s, 1800s or whatnot. But the problem that I have, because they're able to find these references, right? Because what you're looking on the screen is like some of these references are old references, and I get excited because when I see people looking at these old references, but there's some ambiguity about it, right? Because it just mentions Portuguese, right? And so it could be anything, right? It could be the white Portuguese, it could be the black Portuguese. I'm just speaking to you from a researcher, right, perspective. As a researcher, I have to find some way to narrow that down to make it undeniable who we're speaking to, right? And that's the problem that they're at. They're in this weird, middle zone, because I can tell you, if they go too far to the right, they're gonna find black. That's what's going to happen, and that's why they're in this middle zone right here, where they're just mentioning names like Portuguese and stuff like that, and that's where they're trying to find some footing, but that's not going to work. Go ahead, guys.
Absolutely. Appreciate sharing that, Benea and family. That's why, again, as Benea points out a number of times, and hey, go to the old sources. And also, what I point out with that, the word Shammai, the Hebrew word Shammai, it means listen with intelligence. So be open to allow the words to listen, to speak to you, not going to these sources to try to prove a point. And that's what's happening with many of these guys. They are going to sources trying to prove a point and not allowing the sources to speak for itself. So they began to interpolate or eisegete, if you want to even get into that area, when we start dealing with hermeneutics and all of that, the science and all, but they start trying to insert what they want the text to say. And this right here is a blatant,
all right, y'all heard that,
rewrite
right?
of that text. No matter how they try to spin it, there's no misunderstanding. This is the issue right here, right? But notice what it says, right? Notice what it says. The Lancado descendants, and and again, when I did the initial video, it was not me about trying to get into, as Benea pointed out, the specifics about the Portuguese and all. I didn't get into all of that, but I did make it clear who the article is referring to. I mean, this particular area of the book is referring to, the multiple tribes here, and gave you proper clarity that they are not here in that text stating that the Mundingo and the other tribes mentioned, they are not saying that they hate to be called black, right? That's very deceptive, and that's pushing this narrative that they really want to push, especially a lot of within the conscious community. Many of them push saying that the Hebrew Israelites hate Africans. Now, we have to be real. There are some groups within the community that hate Africans. We got to be real about that. Let's not candy coat it. It's not right. But there are some that do hate Africa, or hate Africans, or hate, if you say, use the term, for example, Ethiopian, right? Many they're ready to take your head off for that. Yep. So we're not called to do that. That's not what we're about here, And so again, this is what they put here is to push that narrative, to say, hey, Equiano, and all those that are even, say that they are Israelites. Guess what? That they're, connected to the ancient Israelites. They hate being African. And that's what this deceptive rewrite is stating right here. They hate to be called black and want the status of their white progenitors. Now I'm going to show you why this, the triggers in here, that just really was like stood out for me. And I made it a point not to speak on it in the initial video because I wanted to make sure we had the smoking gun, right? We are, when we say crafty counsel, we know exactly who we're dealing with. You know exactly who we're dealing with. And so that way we stop supporting the delusions. All right. So let me go through this real quick. They hated to be called black. Let's deal with this real quick, right? This is the actual source. And as you can see, it doesn't say anything like that, right? We see the Mundingos. And like as I did in the previous lesson, right? You see the different groups right here that we're dealing with in this particular paragraph, this particular area of the book, right? You see it says here, Mundingos, Foliops, Folies, Floops, and Portuguese, right? We see the different groups that we're dealing with here, right? But then it says here, most numerous are called Mundingos, right? So begin to hone in on the Mundingos, all right? So that in itself, again, I'm not getting caught up in all the other stuff right now. We're not in this portion of the presentation. Even when I did the first video, wasn't trying to get into trying to identify who's who, but to call out how they purposely misrepresent sources, lie, and blatantly forge information. So again, you see here it says Mundingos, right? Till now, they are now very. I can't see that because I got it chopped out. Let me put it up here so I can see back here. All right. Yeah, it says Mundingos till they are now very near as black as they are, but as they still retain a sort of a bastard Portuguese language. All right. So let me highlight that again. So again, it says, but as they still retain a sort of a bastard Portuguese language called Creole, and as the children, as they Christian and marry by the help of the priests sent yearly over hither from Esfago, one of the Cape de Verde islands, they reckon themselves still as well as if they were actually white, and nothing angers them more than to call them Negroes, being that a term, that being a term used only for slaves. So this is making it clear, right, that they look like you and I, right? But it's saying that, right, their behaviors, and come on, family, we've all been there before. I know I have gone off to college, came back home, and some of my relatives back home said, I'm behaving like I'm white.
Oh no, all right. Let me ask you a question. Second after this, I'm not gonna even play that. I'm not gonna even play that other one. Alton, let me know if you want to jump on and you want to address the other stuff that y'all got going on. Do you think that people would say there's been misrepresenting? I'm asking everybody, misrepresenting of sources on both sides. You think one source been lying, one source been pseudo, or everybody just fighting to try to find information because some stuff has been quote unquote hidden, or folk believe in what they want to believe or don't believe what they want? How do you look at that right there when we start dealing with sources and people lying about sources or misreading sources?
That reference right there is absolutely 100% correct.
Both sides?
Oh, well, as far as both sides are concerned, there's been some misleading on both sides, intentionally and unintentionally.
Like people just misreading the sources, or folk hating. I would love to have early flight. Okay, all right, bro. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying that there's been some misinterpretation on both sides, intentionally and unintentionally.
Okay, let me see. I can't find that other thing. All right, I see what you said in there. I see what you said in there. All right, keep going, keep going. I'm trying to look at this thing here.
Can I can share an article.
Okay, I'm gonna stop this. Go ahead.
Let me see if I can do it this time. Move this window. Can you see that? It says history emerges.
Yes. I'm gonna hear you. Tell me if they could. You could just pinch this on the cell phone.
No, this is not on the cell phone. This is on a laptop.
All right, you can make it a little bigger to read it, or if you could read it.
Yeah. This is the history emerges in Maryland. Matthias de Souza, an African Portuguese Jew, arrived in 1634. Maryland's first European settlers, most of them were Catholics, fleeing the religious intolerance of the old world. De Souza earned freedom from indentured servitude and by most historical accounts had a life barely defined by his blackness. Then we're going to go down to where it talks about him being a mulatto. It says, let's see. I think I went down too far. It says that, let's see if I can make it smaller. There we go. It says many details about Matthias de Souza's life have been erased from history. In fact, there is a continuing debate over whether he was African descent or a European mulatto, but that he was a man of color who achieved great success in early Maryland is remarkable in the eyes of most modern historians. So I can stop sharing now. I just wanted to share that information. Basically, mulatto, terms like mulatto, Creole, Negro, they don't mean what they mean today. And the old references accurately depict that. There has been misinformation on our sides as well. I personally used to believe, and I'll tell you for myself, I personally used to believe Israel was in Israel. Then when information came out showing that there was locations in Africa named after biblical places and biblical names, I started to identify with Israel possibly being in Africa.
So that started you like here in Negro land, like here, what that Judah thing?
Yeah, like that. There's another map that shows Judaeum Terra, which is in the Congo, and it's an actual reference showing the land of Judah in the Congo. But you can see how misinformation can come from that.
So you didn't get no angel and all of that other stuff. You just started hearing stuff or looking at videos.
No, I've been looking at this for years because like I was mentioning before, the reason why I wanted to know who Canaanites were, who Magog was, who the Israelites were, I only wanted to know for prophetic reasons. The Bible uses these nations according to prophecy, and God's not finished using nations in the Bible. We haven't even finished half of the prophecies that are even in the Bible. There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of prophecies that still got to be fulfilled. So people are jumping straight to the book of Revelations. There's biblical prophecies in the book of Genesis that hasn't even been fulfilled yet. So
you say, I got a video dealing with the kingdom. I hope y'all seen the name of. Say the name of that guy in the video again. That Plumber sent me. You remember his name? Say his name. I think I already closed that one up, but say his name in case somebody want to go look at some of them videos.
I forgot his name, but he deals with a lot of Ghana Hebrew language, like Onyonkapon. He breaks down the langue and shows how.
Oh wait, all right, hold on. Let me at least put the thing up there so people could see that. All right, yeah. Let me put that before I jump off here. Let me at least. How can I put that up there? Screen share, in case anybody want to go look into some of what he's. There it is. Y'all see it? You can see the name. You can see. Let me see what I see here. All right, this is the channel. All right, y'all see his name right here?
Kwadi Ama.
And he's a Amore, a historian. Matter of fact, let me click on this thing, see what it is, if they can see some of his different videos. Y'all can see that?
Yeah.
This is Torah, the New Testament, and the topic of homosexuality. Introduction. Oh, you got a couple of things.
He's not the only one. There's a lot of Bantu Africans saying that they're the people.
All right, Elton, you hear that? A lot of Bantu Africans over there saying it now. As long as y'all hear that.
What's his name? Julius Malema said that they're Mushabi. So
that's what they call it. What do they call it? They call it awakening. What they call it over there?
They just said that they're Jews. They're the true.
Oh, they use the regular word. Okay. All right. Hold on. Let me see something. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Well, oh boy, I'm gonna have to look at. I'm gonna play that one tomorrow. I'm gonna have to go look at that one right now. All right. We're gonna lay into this stuff right here. We're gonna lay into this. I got some, like I said, some people said some other stuff to me today, so I'm scratching my head. I don't want it to be true, but I'm gonna just look all into it. All right, you want to say anything in closing? Fair
No.
use. I appreciate. I used Pastor Kelly's video, a bunch of his stuff. Garfield came on here. So, do you think Garfield, in your opinions, did he impress you any? Is he saying anything? Is he bringing anything up to think about?
Well,
that's but you that went in one and came out the other. Your position ain't changed.
I heard what Garfield's saying, but he's coming from it's like he's in the mix between history and evolution. He doesn't want to admit that.
Well, most history is evolution. And, a lot of people don't ride like the Bible like we ride the Bible.
Well, yeah, he's, it's kind of, I'm coming from a different viewpoint than he's coming from. He's coming from evolution out of East Africa. He doesn't explicitly say it, but he has to, because if anybody comes out of Africa, then they have evolved from a pre-Adamic race. That's the only way to tie it back.
So you don't believe in the out of Africa theory?
I'm open to from a biblical standpoint, I'm open to God, making man from anywhere in that area. So if he made the first humans in Africa, it's possible. But from the scriptures, it says everyone comes out of Ararat anyway. So I kind of tend to lean that all modern, all humans come from, Noah, straight from the Caucasus region. And
you believe that?
I believe in Ararat. I believe
that the flood afterward, but originally you think the garden was around. You think the garden was somewhere else, right? In Ethiopia or something, or in the land of whatever land you want to, in Africa. Let's put it that way. You believe the original Garden of Eden was in Africa, and then man repopulated later on in Ararat, around that area?
Well, it talks about the 4 rivers, and it talks about the Euphrates River, and that's not in Africa. So, if we're going to talk about...
what were the other rivers? What were the 4 rivers? What them other rivers now? Now he's trying to drag it right up out of Africa now. Y'all hear that? When that African Heritage Bible had the Blue Nile and the other Nile right over the Euphrates. All of that stuff together. Maybe the Garden of Eden was bigger than you think from the Sunday school books. You think it was like the size of Central Park or something like that? Well, I don't know. You ain't been to the city. Or you think it's the size of the whole New Jersey, the whole of North Carolina?
Well, it's possible that, I believe that there was a Pangea, a supercontinent.
You believe in that too? Yeah. He got the Bible. You believe. What else you believe? You believe it was a drifting later on? So you believe the original, there was no real like Pacific Ocean, Atlantic, or you believe all that was connected?
No, I believe that the continents were connected at one point in time.
And that's right. And all of the oceans went around, and there were only a few little rivers in between.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right, we'll pick it up later on. Anything else in closing?
No, grace and peace.
All right, grace and peace, everybody. Good night.